Today's show is brought to you in part by Squarespace. Whether you need a portfolio to showcase your work, a store to sell your products and services, or a blog to share your ideas, Squarespace has it all. They'll give you everything you need to make your next move into a reality, including a free domain. Not to mention, with Squarespace's beautifully designed templates and customizable features, creating a beautiful website is a simple and intuitive process. Just add and arrange your content with a click of a mouse. You probably have a mouse. Start your free trial today at squarespace.com and enter the offer code BOMBCAST to get 10% off your first purchase. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's the 4th of July.
Woo!
Woo!
USA.
USA. Calgary.
Close the blinds.
That's right. Close the blinds. Pet your animals. Let them know it's going to be okay.
Those are just fireworks. It's fine.
I don't know.
They're not all just fireworks.
They're not all just
No,
fireworks.
they're not. I live in Oakland, so
Yeah. I live in
you never know.
America. So
right. Right.
Hello, I'm Jeff Gersman, your host. Brad Shoemaker, your regular normal host, is out celebrating for America.
He's in
out,
the
buddy.
he's in the heartland.
That's right. He's out doing his thing as only he can do. So I'm filling in for him here. And joining me, Ben Pack. How's it going over there?
He said something about legal M80s, which I don't think that's a real thing.
That is totally a thing.
Yeah. No, it's if you go to the right parts of this great nation, you can get into a lot more shit. California, am I right? Jason A. Striker down
big
there.
ass stores, that just sell fireworks all year round.
That's right.
great.
Year-round fireworks.
Year round.
All right.
24-hour stores.
Jason, you've lived a lot of different places. I imagine that
Yeah.
you have been to a lot of places like that.
Yeah, like down in Atlanta. I want to say, I forgot the highway name, but yeah, just whenever we would drive
Is it
somewhere.
Highway 40?
It could be 40. Big ass store, just fireworks. And they're, for like the previous like 30 miles, every mile or so, there's a new billboard just advertising fireworks. So they love our country.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And a lot of them are positioned on the border when
Right.
you are bordering states that don't let you get the cool shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's definitely.
Well, they make it easy for people, So, yeah, exactly. Porn and, liquor sometimes.
I have only been to one store like that, and I didn't buy anything because I was on a video game trip.
Okay.
It was the
Wasn't
Rockstar
cause
had
to
a
celebrate. Yeah.
Rockstar had a Smuggler's Run event.
I'm sure they had fireworks.
And they drove people out, and I feel like I've told this part of this story before, but like they drove everyone out into the desert for the day and like had a
Left
fake
them there.
Smuggler's Run thing where they gave us bricks of fake cocaine.
Oh,
And
fun.
that was the score for the trivia contest. We were driving around.
Oh, I
in
thought
these-
you meant score like
no, I mean that was the
7.8.
score also. Yeah, no. And so it was like, let's go around, and then like it was like a tour group that they had contracted to do this. So, like the tour group's driving around telling us about the desert, and then asking trivia questions or something like that. And then if you win, you got these bricks
Real
of
crazy.
Were they
fake drugs.
Smugglers Run trivia questions or just
no,
like
I don't-
desert?
No, I think they were just
trivia?
like desert.
What's
trivia.
a cactus?
Yeah, what is this cactus? I forget what the questions actually were, but they were not.
Is all the cocaine?
Yeah, it was not real. We checked. And at one point, we on the way out to the middle of nowhere, we stopped at a fireworks place, and a bunch of people who were on the trip bought a bunch of fireworks. They were like, "Yeah," and
Those
I'm
places
like,
are
you,
great.
You realize we have to fly back on an airplane at some point, right, to wherever you're from. And someone was convinced that she was going to be able to get these fireworks on the airplane, and she was just like, "I'll just put them in my bag."
On the airplane?
And, yeah,
I mean, this is
this is
pre
9/11. It is
You
pre
just
9/11. So
fly with
I
two
don't-
sparklers in your hands.
like maybe and I think she said if confronted her excuse would just be, well, I'm a girl, I don't know.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I guess go that seems like a bad plan. But anyway, yeah, that's the only time I've ever been to a fireworks
So,
place
yeah,
like
I
that.
don't think
and
they'd,
I
like,
wasn't in a
arrest
position
you,
to buy
but-
anything. So it was, yeah.
Those places are great because they have the best like box art shit, the best like
Oh,
fucking
yeah, I've seen
bootleg
some
like
of
dollar
that.
store looking shit.
It's like an alternative to like video card box art where
Yeah.
it's just fucking cyber demons and bikini like bikini goddesses and stuff like that, where it's, well, actually, there's probably like a lot of bikini action on fireworks boxes now that I think about it.
It looks like the side of a van in there. It's pretty great.
Yeah. The fireworks stands up around near my place have not started selling as of this recording.
Really?
But they're building them all. And there's, I think it's Phantom Fireworks is the name of the company. And they just have a mascot that it looks like a Cobra Commander kind of derivative dude.
Ooh, cool.
It's just like this evil looking fucking faceless guy with a cowl and all this other stuff, and you're like, yeah, I wanted that guy again to take over the world.
Jeff,
is it the
Jeff, come here and buy these fireworks.
Yeah, and he's calling out to me in this Serpentor-like way. They just want my DNA to build a Serpentor-like creature that is like the god of fireworks.
You put a little bit of everyone's DNA in a firework, and you launch them up all at the same time. They explode into the atmosphere, and then you use a satellite to collect all of it at once. And that's how Perfect Cell is formed.
And whichever one blows up first has to eat the whole loaf of bread. Yeah, I don't know.
Whole loaf.
Yeah.
That seems excessive.
Well, hey, do you love America or not?
I guess I don't.
Well, shit. Then leave it, I think, is how the bumper sticker goes.
All right.
So just get your things and go. Nah, well, you can leave after the podcast, I guess.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah, so I don't know. I have not really done fireworks too often because the legal fireworks here in this, I was gonna say this state, but I guess in certain counties it's like totally banned.
They switched over.
The drought's over now, right? Like we can just light off fireworks.
Yeah,
and
just
shit,
go nuts.
right?
No, but it's all still safe and sane. Boring sparklers and fountains and ground flowers that don't go in the air.
Oh,
I do really like
around.
the like little gunpowder balls that you just throw at the ground and they snap.
Oh, they'll snap.
Yeah, I like those. Those are like a good weak firework that are just fun.
Right. That's like a fun thing to save for when school is back in session and then bring into your class and then
like
throw them at teachers.
Poppers?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Little snaps.
Okay.
Little just explode and there's just like rocks and shit everywhere.
They're packed in like sawdust or something?
Yeah. Like don't throw them inside unless you want to sweep later.
Right. Yeah.
What about bomb bags? You ever seen a bomb bag? It's a little plastic.
I think I got one of those on my first day here.
Okay, yeah. No, that's in the bomb bag. It was a bomb bag. It's a small little foil pouch, and inside it you can feel a little bubble, and you burst the bubble, and there's like a powder in it. It's probably like a baking soda vinegar type of reaction.
Like prime it.
Yeah, because you pop that bubble inside, and then the bag inflates, and it just inflates and kind of sits there for a while, and then eventually it pops, and then there's like a little bit of magic water, I think is what they call it. That you might have to clean up afterwards.
There's just splooshes all over you.
Well, you don't. You throw it somewhere. You don't. You don't hold it on your person. I mean, you could. It's not. It's it's just a chemical reaction. It's not actual explosives. But I wouldn't recommend that.
Bomb bag.
I found 4 of those. I had them stashed where the food is in my house, and they were up pretty high.
It's in case a raccoon gets in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, pops
the bomb bag, and then no, I forget why.
It's like, what's this, a gusher?
There was some like fucking dumbass drunken fucking antics that Liz like, no, we're gonna put a bomb bag up here, and then it stayed up there for probably about 9 years or something until my wife found it while she was cleaning out. She said, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And I said, look." Add it to the list of things that are wrong with me, honestly.
We've had this packet of chicken flavored stock that we got at like a Asian market in our pantry for like 10 years because it's just a picture of a chicken and it just says cock. On top of it.
I feel like I've seen that.
Oh,
but
really?
Have refrained.
I don't know why.
But and that's moved with you. You've lived a lot of places over the last 10 years.
It's traveled cross country.
First thing you pack, grab the cock, honey.
Grab that cock. We're getting out of here. Well, there is not a full week has not passed since we last convened to podcast. So.
Breaking the fourth wall.
That's right. I know. Yeah, really breaking this down. It's Friday the 30th, the most American of days. But that's not to say no video games have been played. So why don't we talk about some of said video games? Ben Pack.
Videogames.com.
Videogames.com here with breaking news on Gigantic.
Gigante.
Ben Pack, Gigantic correspondent, to tell us about Gigantic.
I've been playing Gigantic. I want to call it Gigante.
Yeah.
Because that's more fun.
It is way more fun.
But Gigantic is the new hot MOBA that everyone's talking about.
Yeah, the last 9 years it's been in some kind of development.
Yeah, so Brad turned to me one day and he said, "Do you remember Gigantic?" And I said,
so I think the actual order of operations there was I said to myself, oh God, Gigantic is coming out. And I turned to Brad and said, do you know Gigantic still exists and is coming out? And then I think he turned to you.
So Gigantic is the MOBA in the same vein as Smite. Mm-hmm. It is a third-person action thing. There are no creeps. There are no buildings. Really? What there is kind of there's a Gigantic, that's the name of the game, monster on each team, and it's 5-on-5. And basically, the game takes place in 2 phases. The first phase is you're trying to get to 100 points, and you get points by killing enemy heroes or setting up creatures, which are kind of spawn. Like you can plant them, and you can plant 3 on a map on each side, and they will passively generate points. So you can go destroy the other team's creatures, and they won't be getting as many points.
Okay.
Or they can destroy yours, and vice versa. So the fights kind of happen around these creatures. And then once you get to 100 points, the enemies, I forget what they call them, guardians, I think, collapses, and you have an amount of time based on how many more points you have than the other team to attack that guardian, and it depletes its health. And if it gets to a certain point, it takes a hit. And once you get 3 hits in, that's the end of the game.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool. They're short rounds. They're at most have been like just over 20 minutes.
That seems like
which is like doable.
Time,
yeah, it's not an hour or 75 minutes.
I think it was something with like Paragon where they had like a shorter. Like they've been adjusting it to make it a little bit shorter over time. Yeah.
And there's, about, I would say 20 heroes, 18 maybe in the game right now. Each feel pretty different. They don't really have the typical MOBA roles of like support, tank, DPS. They're all kind of DPS, but with different stuff they can do. Some of them have heals, some of them have buffs and debuffs and stuff like that, and disables. And some are more tanky and some are less tanky, but really kind of outside of a few minor exceptions, they're all really just you're either a melee dude or a ranged dude.
Yeah, so everyone's like viable in combat.
Yeah,
that probably makes sense.
Yeah, because I feel like so another thing this game doesn't have is voice or any chat. You have a couple keyboard commands you can do, like fight here or defend here or group up, kind of like Overwatch's voice stuff.
Yeah,
but without any sort of text chat there. So I've found that to be both good and bad, right? Because nobody's been screaming at me about being bad at this game, but also like, MOBAs are very much team games where you kind of have to, if you're playing at a certain level, you have to be able to move with your team well, or kind of be like, hey, we're split up, let's regroup. And you have those hotkeys, but like in the middle of a battle, it's hard to be like, let's all gather up in an attack point C or whatever. And
if you were a really good team, you would just be able to like read each other's minds.
See, but I've had that sometimes. I've had that experience where like once in a while we're just moving together. We're just operating on all cylinders, and I feel like, this is great, I'm doing something. And other times we're just all over the place.
Well, so the game's you've been playing it on PC, right?
Yeah. So it's part of the Arc launcher.
Oh, right. Yeah.
The fine folks that brought you the Neverwinter thing and Star Trek Online.
I don't know that they brought either of those, but have ended up with them through acquisition or something. So
I think that's right.
A lot of that stuff went through a lot of. Yes.
There was like a
Nexon also out on
involved.
Xbox One.
Yeah, right.
Well.
So there you would have voice chat at least in theory. Well, maybe not in game, but at least party chat. I don't know what the situation is there, but Yeah, that's interesting that game. Like I said, man, that game came up in some kind of closed beta. I feel like a very long time ago.
Yeah,
now,
I remember a trailer probably during an E3.
Yeah.
That was really cool, and I was just like,
the art is definitely standing out.
Yeah.
So the game is beautiful.
Cool. Yeah, that's good. I was taken aback that there was an announcement about it, because maybe I'm thinking of something else. I feel like that like it came out it came out in beta. People were like, oh, this is actually really cool, and then it started to get maybe overshadowed by some of the other stuff, whether it was Smite or certainly Paragon, what I think has kind of become the action MOBA of choice.
I still haven't played either of those.
Yeah. And then I remember hearing I thought I heard some story that like, times are tough over the developer at Gigantic. Like, maybe it's not, and then you're like, oh, well, maybe it's not going to happen at all. But here we are.
Yeah. I believe it's a late July release.
Okay.
I think they've said, and they've teased a couple new heroes already, so it seems like they've got a pretty good cycle going on. And
but like you could just get it on PC, right?
Yeah,
It's in some kind of closed.
it's in an open beta.
Okay.
And yeah, you just they have like a founders pack going right now where you can pay a little bit so they do the League of Legends style rotation of heroes. But if you buy the founders pack, which is probably like $15, maybe 17, I think, you get access to all heroes seemingly forever. I might be wrong.
I was going to ask
Yeah.
like what the buy-in is to get like a character pack. Okay.
Yeah. So I ended up they supplied a code for that, so I've been playing all the heroes, and they're fun. They're all unique enough in a way that is like, oh, this guy looks like, I mean, there's a guy in there that's Bastion. He can turn into a turret, but then he also has a couple other cool abilities, and it doesn't seem
with the length of time that game's been going, that's probably Bastion before Bastion was Bastion.
Maybe.
Speaking of games in some form of beta, I tried playing some Lawbreakers last night.
Oh yeah, I've heard weirdly positive things about it.
It seems like there are neat ideas there. I don't know that I'm necessarily sold on it as something I would necessarily want to play. That said, I tried. So they're having a weekend right now where it's starting. So they gave out keys, I feel like 1,000 years ago for this game, and they ran a couple of beta weekends and stuff like that. Like last E3, I think, around that time. It's been a year, probably. And playing it and going like, okay, there's something to this, but it seems like it's just not fully formed. It's a little early. Look, there's some cool ideas there, and then they've been working on it and out there trying to kind of bang the drum about it, and they announced a release date recently, so now they're having something where people who got keys then are back in right now.
Okay,
actually today it might be the thing where it opens up wide, because by the end of this weekend it's going to be kind of open to everyone until the 3rd or 4th or something like that. But I jumped in last night, which is when key holders could access the game, and I hit let's play the game, and then I was in a match by myself, and I was like, oh, huh.
So
okay.
what's Lawbreakers?
It is a first-person shooter is a class-based first-person shooter. They've tried to kind of take have light spins on the modes you expect in a team game like that, where they're all kind of objective-based. It's like a single flag CTF where it's a battery. So you have to bring the battery to your base, and as long as it's in your base, it charges up.
Okay.
Whoever gets to 100% first and then guards it for a set amount of time afterwards wins the point. They've got kind of point capture modes that are, it's like light twists on kind of the standard stuff you see in first-person shooters. The big deal about it, their kind of big like marketing push and hook is that they play around with gravity.
Okay.
So there'll be areas of the map that you'll just see a big bubble, and some characters have abilities that will create kind of localized versions of a bubble like this. But in the maps I've seen, like it's usually the center of the map is just no gravity. So you can hold down, jump, and it's like first-person shooter swimming controls at that point.
Okay.
But you can also hit the control key and shoot behind you, which it seems like the primary purpose of that is it actually propels you forward at a very high speed. But also it is theoretically possible to kill someone who is behind you, which is nice if you're like running with a flag or running with an item or something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But they don't, you can't see behind you, so it's really just.
But you can do that outside of that gravity bubble.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's kind of their hook, and they've got abilities like the same way as an Overwatch style game would, where it's it's stuff that operates on cooldowns and stuff. So
is Johnny Gat in there yet?
Not yet, but I honestly, if you could put a Johnny Gat in this game, and I think it would fit alongside the roster that they've developed. So there's something to it, like it's very fast paced, and the low gravity stuff is interesting, but I don't know that I'm necessarily sold on it. I feel like with a lot of these games, like objective-based modes are usually, especially something like this where they've tried to put spins on it. I don't feel comfortable with the characters or classes yet. So saying like, okay, now play in a team game where you need to play a specific role and try to push this point or do this other stuff. Like it's making it harder to learn the characters. Like I wish the game actually just had, and they've got a tutorial which they've added since the last time I played. So maybe this solves the problem.
Character specific ones?
I don't know. But hopefully, where it's like I don't feel comfortable with any of the characters' abilities. Like you can they learned the thing from Overwatch of hit F1 and it'll just show you what everything is, but it doesn't tell you what it does.
Sure. And then I imagine when you face off against an enemy team and you face against maybe 5 heroes or stuff you've never seen and you have no idea what's happening to you as you fight them.
There's a lot of stuff like that in the early going. I mean, people learn it and then they know, right? But it feels like it could probably do more.
Easier.
That's how I feel about Gigantic too.
Yeah.
I've been encountering a bit of that.
Yeah. But I installed it, so I will probably check it out once they open it up to more people, because then hopefully people will be playing it. But yeah, like I said, I was not expecting that experience last night. I was like, oh yeah, Lawbreakers, that thing's running now. Let's go. People seem to be like on an uptick in positivity on this thing, so there'll probably be people playing and super not. I was like, oh jeez. That can't be good.
Do you think this is a chance for them to take that tech and make an Ender's Game?
I mean, let's hope. Yeah.
All right. Sweet.
Yeah. I don't know. They've made a lot of changes to that thing since they've been working on it. Jason, you've been playing much of anything?
Yeah, not much since the last
time we podcasted.
Booting up more motorcycle games. Trials of the Blood Dragon. Remember that?
Yep.
The Trials crossover thing. That game is so not good.
I've got a code for, do you want a motorcycle, like a genuine motorcycle game?
I was looking at
MXGP3.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
I've got a code for that. If
All
you
right.
want to, it's like motocross, like actual racing
that
type
sounds
stuff. And,
better.
And I was like, I don't know that any of us are necessarily into that type of motorcycle racing, but
Griffin is just glued to that shit.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Now he's into movies though. Like we started watching Big Hero 6, and he did not move while that movie was on. He just transfixed on that.
What did you think?
Big Hero 6?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite
It's
Pixar
really good.
movies. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Also booted up Micro Machines World Tour. That's the new one that's out.
Right.
I think today, which actually, reminded me a lot of like old school like rock and roll racing and shit, from watching videos and stuff. Really like the level design in there. They've got the Hasbro license, so they've got like G.I. Joe toys kind of strewn about the area, and also a couple of G.I. Joe vehicles. Like they've got a Hiss tank in there, which is fucking rad.
Yeah, that's cool.
Super excited when I saw that.
Is Hiss an acronym?
It is.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell it stands for.
Hids in Satan's service. No, oh man.
All right, you look that up. But so there's a couple different modes. There's the obvious like rock and roll racing inspired race modes. You get power ups, which are actually like Nerf weapons. Like,
cool.
Trademark Nerf weapons.
It's the Cobra High Speed Sentry.
Like HI Speed Sentry. Like okay.
Well, I mean, this high is spelled HIGH here, but they just
oh weird,
they fudge it.
That works.
And call it a Hiss.
I don't think it does.
There's skins for the Hiss.
His skins.
The skins.
Because they reissued the Hiss tank in like blue and stuff like that later on, didn't they?
They got
just that
like G.I. Joe variant too, which is all in like camo. That's fucking weird.
Do not approve.
But yeah, they've also got like a weird battle mode, like an open area where you just get a shit ton of weapons and just duke it out with other dudes in a top down view. At the onset, it's pretty fun. Driving doesn't feel super great though. I don't like the race mode much at all.
Does it? So the previous Micro Machines games, I always had a huge problem with because they were a little too top down in a way that made it hard to see the track.
Totally,
so the turns just kind of happened, and you're like, oh shit.
Yep.
And this is still that.
This is totally still that, and even more so, I think, because the environments are really, really busy. They're rendered well. They look cool. Yeah. Does not lend itself to to racing. And from what I've seen, I didn't see a fucking mini map. Which was ridiculous.
The other thing about those games that I remember making me not want to play it is that it was all single screen, no matter what. So if someone dragged off the back, they got warped for. It was
I
wonder like that. I wonder, with now they have like online stuff like that. If they just say like, hey, just race your race.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but they do have like that survival kind of mode where it's if you fall back, towards the edge of the road, I guess. You get like knocked out. But yeah, they've got some online modes and stuff too. It might be worth checking out. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not super into it just yet, but yeah, I definitely wanted to touch on like how hard it is to gauge like when the next turn is coming.
Yeah, that stuff. Like people love those Micro Machines games because they were just like good local multiplayer games back in that day. But I was like, fucking no.
I miss Revolt, man, so much. I really, really, really loved.
Yeah, Revolt was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I finally got to play Polybius in VR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
We recorded that. That's up on the site. The latest Rodeo is us taking a look at some PlayStation VR stuff.
It's really fucking cool,
Polybius
man.
is fucking crazy. Like I'd played it on a TV before, and it was like, okay, well, it's a shooter, and you kind of do your thing, and all right, it's a mess. It's hard to see what's going on.
And music.
Yeah, but when you see it in proper 3D coming at your damned face, it's really cool.
It's it's of any time in a video game, it's the most fast I've ever felt like I was going.
Yeah.
Like in a game, just being in it, seeing everything zip, zoom, rush by me. I was just like, I feel like I am just barreling down this highway and have very little control, but just enough to like maybe make it to the end.
Like you still feel like you're playing a video game as opposed to watching a screensaver or something, but it is intense.
Yes.
I really liked it a lot. It was really cool. So that's only on PlayStation VR right now. They're working on a PC version of it as well. So that'll probably end up coming to the other headsets at some point. Check out that video. It's Polybius. It's pretty awesome.
You guys lost your fucking minds playing that.
Yeah. It's rad.
It took a lot out of me.
Yeah. I ended up playing it after you and probably played like, I don't know, 9 or 10 levels. And at the end of that, I was like, oh, fuck. Like it was that feeling of just like, I am barely on the edge of control.
Yeah.
But like the game is not so hard or fast or anything that you feel out of control. It really literally was just the sensation of just like, man, this is intense. But not in a sickening way either, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. This is the first time I was like, I wish I had a VR, a VR headset so I could play this.
Yeah. And I spent a little time in The Division because I had not checked out some of their DLC. Someone was like, I saw a few people saying that The Division's survival mode was kind of a battle royale kind of thing, in the vein of King of the Kill or Battlegrounds. It is super not that. It's like a 24 player. It's not. It's neat in its own weird ways, but it does not scratch the same itch whatsoever.
I played my first game of Battlegrounds in probably like a month and a half. Got punched to death at 84.
There you go. Ooh, that's a good way to go.
It was just a fist fight on a roof.
Mm-hmm.
At least it was on a roof.
That's how I hope
cinematic.
to go someday. Yeah. That game is still good.
Yeah, I want to try that.
I need to spend some more time with it. It's just whenever like people are playing and they're like, hey, they're trying to form squads or whatever, and they're looking for people, it never works out for me.
Oh, really?
So I'm always like just on the verge of like getting up to do something else or whatever. It's like, shit, I gotta. Well,
playing a squad isn't like your jam though, right?
But I want to do that more, just to try to get better
like
at
in
that style of play.
Being recorded setting. Also.
I guess I've never played in a squad outside of us streaming. So, just to kind of get better at that stuff and play with some people who are a little bit more versed in some of the the thing I feel like I have almost no experience with right now, at least in a successful, positive way, is being out in the open and having people come at you and winning those fights.
Oh, yeah.
And so there have been a lot of cases where I'm just like on my belly and then just like, I'm done. I'm like, shit, well, okay, like what should I have done there to be better? So so I want to just play with a wider variety of people and kind of see how
That's
stuff
cool
goes.
that it's got your head ticking.
Yeah. I'm definitely like seeing like, okay, well, what are the weakest parts of my game right now? And I don't know.
That'll be nice when the replay stuff comes through.
Yeah.
You can rewatch that
when you
stuff.
kind of check out and see what those people did to get you. Like that's the stuff I want to see.
Or pick up tips, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of see how that stuff goes.
We played Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Yesterday as well.
How's that going?
I've played
didn't
like
get kicked.
4 games and none of them crashed.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
So I'm elevating it from unplayable to just not fun.
Oh yeah.
No, I still have a lot of things to learn about that game if I was to try to get better at it.
Yeah.
A lot of techniques and stuff that some people have pointed out who, have 40, 50 hours or whatever in that game. But I just don't think it's that fun because a lot of the time, like you're either so my biggest problem with that game is my problem with a lot of games where you have such a weak stamina meter.
Oh, okay.
And you just have to kind of jog very slowly around this campsite. And if you're on the opposite side of a map of a couple other campers, you have no one to interact with or talk to. And you're just like, the whole game boils down to go into a cabin, open all the drawers, see if you find one of the key items. If not, pick up whatever you can, move to the next cabin. Where that game is really fun is if there's like 2 or 3 of you around Jason and he's like chasing you guys and you have to like split up and try and save your friend and stuff. But that happens so few times in a match that can be like, some of those matches were like a half hour, man.
Yeah.
And like if you die, you're just,
it seemed to happen a lot.
you
for
wait
me, but
so long.
that's true. Yeah,
just to be dead.
Yeah. Well, you get the option of the possibility of coming back as
yes,
Tommy Jarvis.
one person gets to come
one.
back for to be Tommy Jarvis, but for the amount of time that is like waiting, loading up into a lobby, waiting for 8 people to join, waiting for everyone to accept, loading into the game once more, watching that intro cutscene, and then you start. It's like if Battlegrounds forced you to kind of stick around after you are the 84th person who gets punched to death.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's. Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, you know, does that? Because the way Battlegrounds uses that is that helps set up tension. Like those quiet moments feel fucking terrifying, and I suspect that's what a game like Friday the 13th would probably be going for, but it's just not. Doesn't sound like it's doing it.
I think it's clicking more for me. I had a really good time with it. I mean, first I love the material, obviously, but I did enjoy kind of the tension, and I felt like I was actively doing something instead of just like running and hiding. Like I was finding items, like I found some gas and, I gassed up the car. I found some more and, gassed up the boats, I saved a couple in just one match, and I saved a couple dudes from Jason and stuff, and I ended up dying, but like, I felt like I contributed. I had shit to do. Yeah. I had a really cool time with it. I definitely want to play it in a group of people. Like we're all on Discord or something like that. The proximity chat, is great in theory, I think.
Yeah.
It was the most fun playing with community members because it was all like I could tell it was all kind of competent people who who were there to try and win or like there to at least cooperate with each other. That was the best setting.
Or
I've
just
ever
have
played
fun,
it in with.
Yeah.
It seems like that. I've definitely seen some people say that like the game has an issue with public games where people get in, realize they're not Jason, and then just drop.
Yep.
So that's
since it's hosted service or client side, then that just drops the whole game and everyone's out.
If any one person drops,
or
if the host drops. Okay, all right,
Often the host will be like, "Oh, I'm not Jason."
Yeah, and that totally makes me not to want to ever play in just like random public groups. I would have to play with people that I know in a private setting.
Yeah, and then at that point, you're kind of shooting the shit and doing a thing. But would you want to, even on a Discord, would you want to segregate Jason out of that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, there's not enough like, hey,
I don't think it's that
I'm gassing up the
serious.
thing. I'm doing this, that like if Jason heard that, that'd be bad.
He can teleport like all over the map. So, I don't know. Honor
but
system.
then,
Honor system,
or also that's when you like throw out, oh yeah, let's go gas up that car, but you're at the boat.
Exactly. Yeah.
Work
out a code.
Car means boat.
There's definitely some really good ideas in there. But execution, I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems like the servers are more stable.
Yeah.
It seems like there's less unbearable lag. It seems like they're getting their shit together, which is good.
And then once they have kind of addressed those kind of primary P1 situations, then maybe they can move on to the rest of the stuff and go like, okay, we've got quit penalties for people that drop. And
I'm excited to see what kind of stuff
out.
they start implementing. I'm not done with that game forever by any means, but it's gonna take something unique to get me back in there.
Cool.
The retro Jason skin didn't do it for you?
He looks real dumb.
He looks real great.
He's purple.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, because that's
like the
the
NES.
NES.
Oh, so it's like retro NES style.
Yeah, and it's like a chiptune, like synth version of the song.
Oh, I didn't notice that. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like
That's nice.
That's a weird. That game was bad. Like harkening back to it is like a funny thing, but like I wonder just like in today's player base, like the potential consumers for a Friday the 13th game. When you say retro Jason, I think like the movies.
Oh,
I don't
really?
think like
I didn't.
game.
I wouldn't have known that was the NES Jason if you guys didn't.
I want
tell me.
Commodore 64 Jason, honestly, where he's just like he looks like a kung fu man. It's like this ninja coming at you with a stick.
I think there have been enough like figures, that have been made in that style.
Okay.
Like Nick has done a bunch of those.
Right. I guess I did. Yeah, I remember they did that job.
That I instantly associate with the NES version.
Yeah, but you're
I
deep
like
in this shit.
I am kind of.
So I just wonder if like people coming at it like, oh, I like games, but I really like Friday the 13th. If they're going to be like, what the fuck is this?
Maybe.
Like, all right, yeah,
maybe.
Either way, that's a cool thing to include. All right, that's probably it for games, huh? Why don't we take a break and then we'll come back and we'll talk about a little bit of news and then a whole fucking lot of emails.
Woo.
Stay tuned. The World Wide Web.
Worldwide?
Yes.
Is that anything like the World Wide West Side?
It is a lot like the World Wide West Side.
Oh, okay.
In that it is a W.
Oh.
You can throw up a
Throw
W.
up the W.
Throw up 3 W's.
The WWW.
By creating your own website. Now, this is going to be easier than setting up shop on the World Wide West Side.
Oh, yeah?
Getting on the World Wide
rough
Web.
out there.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard it's not a pleasant place to be.
Hey, you know what? It's
the mean streets.
Yeah, there are winners, there are losers, but everybody wins when it comes to Squarespace.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Squarespace lets you get on the World Wide Web very easily. They've got templates in place. With the click of a mouse, you can put your content on the World Wide Web.
What kind of content are we talking about?
Well, what kind of content do you have? Because they can handle a portfolio. If you got a store, if you're looking to sell some stuff.
Yeah, some bootleg T-shirts.
Hey, whatever you got. With like, you can't touch this on the front, whatever you got.
Yep.
You can sell your products and services. You can start a blog to share your ideas.
They pass around bootleg T-shirt designs.
Exactly.
Okay.
If your ideas were too dangerous to be hosted on someone else's platform, host it yourself. That's right. Create your own website.
Yeah, I will.
With Squarespace, you can look like an expert right from the start, and you can even get a unique domain.
I heard the .fun exists now.
Does it?
Yeah.
All right.
That's what somebody on Twitter said.
Well, if
and you can trust that.
Well, if you that's where I get all my news.
About domain registrations.
About domain registrations. So that sounds fantastic. You can strengthen your brand with a unique domain, and Squarespace will throw one of those in if you sign up for their services.
Okay.
They got templates. There's nothing to install or patch. All this other stuff. It's like they're your own IT department. They'll help you if you run into trouble. 24/7 chat.
Okay. So when I go register fun.fun,
I'm gonna bet that fun.fun might be taken. I'm just gonna type it in here. It does say that nothing comes up, and I'm starting to think that maybe this whole .fun thing that you're talking about might not be true.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately.
All right. Well,
but
maybe Squarespace can give me some info on
all right.
that.
Well, we can hope. We can hope.
Yeah.
Make your next move your best move. Start your free trial today at squarespace.com. Enter the offer code Bombcast to get 10% off your first purchase. Again, that's Bombcast. All right, we are back. News. That's what they say. Whoa.
Here, Lewis, get out of here. We're only interested in your friends.
But I want a new drug.
No, the new drug is information.
The new drug is this saxophone I brought with me. That's full of drugs.
Can I say, I really appreciated Kenny G's new rebranded self on Twitter for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But now, like the whole sex thing, it tanked real fast.
It was like a fun goof, and you're like, oh, is Kenny G self-aware enough to make this? No.
No.
He had that idea.
A friend who is, does the same joke with him.
It's not because he went out and got a sax and then, sex didn't come.
Yeah.
No, okay. That's not why.
Is it? Do you think how much of this, and maybe this is just in my head, the way that this all fits together, but how much of Kenny G trying to be funny on Twitter do you think comes from Michael Bolton working with Lonely Island?
Oh, yeah.
And that it's like that they saw the Netflix special, and he was like, "Man, I'm Kenny G. What the fuck am I doing?"
Yeah, I got way more of a name in the comedy scene than as a punchline.
Right, but he's been involved in some of it. It's clearly Kenny G must have a sense of humor.
Yes, I saw a skit where he was playing the sax on a bus with a bunch of people. It was funny.
Who would do that?
It was, I don't know, the Impractical Jokesters or something.
.com.
Was it soprano sax? Was it the straight one?
Yeah.
That he's known for.
It was the Kenny.
I can't stand a straight sax. Honestly, if your sax doesn't curve like a saxophone, then I don't want it.
What's the point?
Yeah, what's the whole point? I want a baritone, big old weird sax.
That's been news.
That's been news. In the actual news, last week we talked about OpenIV or Open4. I hate that I fucking don't know. The modding tools for Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
That Take-Two issued a cease and desist for. It took an update. It sounds like so Rockstar has issued a statement that sounds like that this is going to continue. But like if you go to the official website, like it still has not been updated to say that they're back, or at least as of this recording. It just took an update, like the app took an update,
Right.
and all that. Rockstar did post a statement, or gave a statement to Inquiring Media, I believe.
That's us.
No,
we didn't.
No, we did not. Rockstar
kind of put it out there.
Yeah, we did put it out there in the ether. Rockstar Games believes in reasonable fan creativity. and in particular wants creators to showcase their passion for our games. After discussions with Take-Two, Take-Two has agreed, which they are Take-Two. I mean, they're a division of Take-Two.
Yes.
In discussions with our parent companies.
We talked to Dad.
Take-Two has agreed that it will not take legal action against third-party projects involving Rockstar's PC games that are single-player, non-commercial, and respect the intellectual property rights of third parties. This does not apply to 1. multiplayer. This is how you know a lawyer fucking touched this. 1. Multiplayer or online services. 2. Tools, files, libraries, or functions that can be used to impact multiplayer or online services. Or 3. Use or importation of other IP, including other Rockstar IP, in the project.
What?
This is not a license. It does not constitute endorsement, approval, or authorization of any third-party project. So
they can't mod in John Marston's wife in GTA
you cannot
5.
put John Marston's wife. You cannot put Skrillex in the Skrillex IP. He cannot appear in your Grand Theft Auto. I don't know why.
He was going to be the driver.
I don't know why that's where my mind was like, what would you put in? I don't know. What if you could play as Skrillex?
He drives the escape van on their heists.
Yeah.
And you pull out, like you hear you're like, oh, is he going to make it in time? And you just hear the bass coming as he pulls up.
And then the Kenny G sax
Yeah.
solo comes in.
Yeah. So yeah, they issued that statement. So it looks like they're kind of back in business. But like I said, it's the download link seems to exist anymore, but I feel like the mod team has not issued any, or at least they have not updated their site. So
I mean,
it's still a really confusing thing.
I can understand getting so scared that you're just like,
Fuck.
don't touch it.
Yeah.
Nobody touch it.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Right.
And then eventually, I'm sure they have
some
ongoing
cooler heads
conversations.
prevailed or whatever. You know, I don't think any company, Rockstar maybe doubly so, doesn't like it when people that buy their games are out there talking mad shit about them.
Yeah.
So the
damage is gonna be already kind of done with the user review bombing stuff, and like
that stuff irons out over time because the way the Steam reviews go, and people could theoretically change their review, I guess. But
have you caught up with that the like large group in China that is like an organized group of review bombers that just like,
and can you pay them to have them do a thing?
Yes.
I mean, no, I've not heard about that specifically, but of course that exists.
This is I read a brief article about it. It's like this is the largest organization of stuff, and they can get like a game gone from like 98% positive to like 44% negative in overnight. Like,
Valve probably needs to find ways to combat that stuff. I wonder if that's just like, if these are the companies that used to run all the gold farming operations, now that is like less lucrative. Or, my impression is that that's a little less lucrative than maybe it was in its heyday.
Yeah.
That now they're like, well, what if we did this? I saw a picture of a vending machine that they said it was in Russia, where you could pay it to generate likes on your Instagram photos. You just walk up to this touchscreen vending machine and say, yes, I want this for this photo, and then boom.
That's incredible.
Is an insane concept.
I want to do that for my private Instagram.
Yeah.
Just to have the satisfaction of like having the big number.
Yeah.
It's like a clicker.
Definitely, but for real.
Yeah.
You don't hear about people buying Twitter followers as much as you used to, but I suspect it must still exist because there's still those sites where you're like, how many of these how many of this person's followers are bots? And you just see this line of just like this weird hockey stick effect of like the chart goes up, 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 up all at once, and you're like, oh, this person or someone clowning on this person bought a bunch of Twitter followers. Yeah, fucking crazy. Star Fox 2. Let's talk about it.
It's finally real.
Yeah. We talked about this last week a little bit in terms of the SNES Classic. It will be included in there. So the thing I'd kind of forgotten about is there are a few things. Like the game leaked out a couple of different ways over the years, but none of those are based on
version,
but that game was apparently finished, ready to go in English, all this other stuff when it got killed.
That's what I heard.
So the interesting thing now becomes that this will be the actual, it's not going to be them cobbling together some beta.
Right.
It's not some half-finished game. It's like, this is the game as they were getting ready to ship it. They only killed it because the PlayStation and Saturn were coming out, and it just didn't make sense.
Oh, this old thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some Star Fox too. Here you go.
It's interesting. It got me thinking about games in the same terms as like bootleg live, like albums and stuff like that from artists that just like get killed for long periods of time and like widely bootlegged, and then someday get like the official bootleg, and like these weird releases and stuff.
I'm still like absolutely fond of this work print of the Rob Zombie Halloween movie.
Yeah,
because it's vastly different than what like the theatrical and director's cut actually are.
I had a work print of Torque at one point that had no music in it yet, which was amazing because there were like nightclub scenes and all this other stuff, and you're just like dead silence. Like,
all these races.
Just
car sounds.
Hilarious.
This version of Halloween, had different music during scenes and shit as well.
We got a work print at one point of, because they were buying ads. I forget. I think Rich Gallup and I were just like, yeah, we'll watch this Stone Cold Steve Austin movie before it comes out. Of course we will. So they sent, and they were, I think they were buying ads for it on the site, and they sent it over as like, oh, what if you did this thing? And I think ultimately we were like, no, of course not. We would never do that. But we did use it as an opportunity to watch an unfinished version of this movie that had none of the special effects in yet.
Oh,
so it was like, some helicopter crash scene or whatever it was at the end that was just like
a little lackluster.
Not there yet. And you're like, oh man, that's amazing. So that was pretty good. Gama Sutra has an interview with Dylan Cuthbert, who worked on Star Fox 2 back in the day, and now is of Q Games fame. Kind of talking about how experimental that game was, because they were kind of limited by the tech the first time around. Like, original Star Fox wasn't necessarily meant to be on rails in the first place. It was just that's what the technology allowed for. I want to say we have some good Star Fox stories secondhand from Paul Barnett on the podcast we did with him around Game of the Year time, where he kind of had a couple of stories about the process of working with Nintendo on that make it sound completely crazy.
Well, yeah, you've got a finished game, like, and a
finished game that like has an advanced version of the Super FX chip that let them kind of do some of the things that they were able to do.
Can you imagine how much fucking work you put into something, and you're just like blood, sweat, and tears, and then finally you're like, oh, it's gold, we're good, it's out, yay, celebrating. And it's just like, actually, guys, we're not doing it.
Like, you got paid either way, but
sure.
So that's
this thing you spent the last year or two of your life working on?
Right. Like, nah. So that's, yes. The Gama Sutra did ask, what is your initial reaction when you learned that the game would be canceled? And the quote here from Cuthbert is, I was disappointed, of course, but by that point I was ready to move on to the next generation of 3D graphics. The PlayStation had just been released and I wanted to have a play with it. I felt the decision was actually the correct one at the time. If the PlayStation and Saturn had come out a year later, things would have been very different. So, and another interesting quote here that they used a pull quote here. Miyamoto always said Star Fox should be experimenting with different forms of 3D gameplay. We added a robot walker, platform elements, and experimented with the random encounter-based missions. So I'd forgot, that this game has like randomly generated missions. I wonder if parts of it will end up feeling weirdly modern,
right?
Yeah,
because random generation is just such a big deal these days. Anyway, that's super fucking fascinating. Like, I really, like, I'm not the hugest Star Fox fan, but
same here.
Having seen little bits and pieces of Star Fox 2 over the years, and the stuff that got hacked together and all that, and seeing like, oh, this is like an interesting kind of take on that stuff, and some of that stuff they would reuse in Command and some of the other Star Fox games later on.
It's the 20th year anniversary of Star Fox 64 today.
Yeah, It is.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another story going around about Mass Effect Andromeda. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Remember that game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't actually.
They made a
I
fourth
haven't
Mass
played it.
Effect. It was the fourth Mass Effect. It was set after the middle of the events of the
No,
trilogy.
they did
but
three games. It was a trilogy in the
no,
end.
this was the fourth.
Jeff, you know, I
you sure?
definitely played that fourth one. And it seemed like towards the end they really kind of figured out where they were going, and they kind of set up a lot of neat premises. So I'm excited to see kind of what happens next with like the single player stuff in that game.
Well, sources indicate that there will not be any single player DLC for Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh man.
Yeah.
What game?
Sorry. Mass Effect Andromeda.
It's that game with Command on Gianni.
No, I don't remember them in.
Space shooter,
Yes.
4-player horde mode thing.
Commander.
Weird.
Not
I'll
Shepard.
have
What
to-
is it?
Chappie.
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 Commander
I'll have to
Chappie.
Commander
look it up.
Chappie.
Diane Words, your like space
Yeah.
crew.
You're a robot that has sex with every
Chappie.
other
Oh, yeah.
thing on the ship.
I'm sure it'll come to me.
So there was like some fake company out there fronting saying that they were hard at work on Mass Effect DLC and that it got canceled. But the company said it was called Sinclair Networks, which I'm pretty sure that's the name of the television
Yeah.
company that broadcasts like TNA wrestling, and they have a bunch of stations across the country. Sinclair
I think so.
is the name of that for sure. Anyway, there is no video game developer by that name.
You can watch the cutscenes on the cable network.
Right. But yeah, producer Fernando Mello, this is according to Kotaku, came out and said, while we can't talk about the future yet, I can definitely say we build our own DLC and patches for our games and don't hire fake companies to do so. Which is like,
Thanks for clearing that up.
yeah, for companies that normally are just like, we don't comment on rumors or speculation, is a pretty pointed thing.
They can kind of say whatever they want about it, Mass Effect Andromeda at this point.
At this point, yeah. Because also, like, there's probably not going to be any single-player DLC for Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah.
That's and that's what the Kotaku story says is like, hey, this post is not true, but also, yeah, of course, they're not going to do, like, they probably never want to mention Mass Effect Andromeda ever again, except in blog posts on a BioWare blog specifically targeted to the handful of people that still care about that game. And yeah, releasing new content for that just doesn't seem like it would ever happen. And finally in the news, Sony, also from Kotaku, Heather Alexandra reporting on this. Sony has pulled a game called 5-star 1,000 top rated.
The game is called that?
Yes, and it was a platinum trophy you could get in about 20 minutes.
Oh,
And it was like
achievement
It's like
spam.
screen-
it was like a
Serve.
basic like slide
Screensaver.
puzzle thing,
Yeah.
and like almost like a wallpaper thing that looks like it was 98 cents
Mhm.
or $3 normally, and it was up for a couple of days and it got pulled, and I guess it is no longer for sale. I don't know what this means for people who bought this hot gem.
I'm selling my PS4 with
Yeah.
5-star screensaver
Right.
plus for $3,000.
If anyone owns this, make it your primary PS4, and then let me borrow it just long enough to do this. Yeah.
I see that a lot on Steam.
So like their whole thing with the trailer even was just they advertised like, hey, you can get a platinum trophy in an hour on this,
Wow.
which is like for me is really crazy because I feel like I've heard on multiple occasions from people who would know that like they still care about which games are allowed to have platinum trophies and which ones are not.
Mhm.
So I'm really curious to know like how a game it is like it looks like the title is literally 5 fucking stars. And like so
Like, how did that slip through cert?
how did no one stop at some point and go fucking no?
Yeah.
Like because like I said, I've heard that there is a team of people or person or whatever it is that do care very much about if the game can have a platinum trophy or not.
E3 was real busy, man.
Yeah,
They had a lot to do.
I wonder if maybe it just fucking like slipped through a pipeline.
That's
Like,
nuts.
maybe, but
John was out sick.
yeah, Like,
Some intern
the
was just
trophy
like,
guy was
okay
just
on
like,
everything
yeah,
and went
just-
home
yeah.
at 2 o'clock.
I've got stuff. I've got food to eat.
But that's totally a thing on
Grubhub.
Steam. There's a bunch of games that
Oh,
are
yeah.
like super cheap and
Totally,
you just get like
totally.
1,000 achievements for
But
doing
also,
nothing
Steam achievements
practically.
don't fucking matter
Yeah, I
because
know.
you can launch a program that just lets you unlock whatever achievement you want. It's
Fucked
not.
up.
There's no security. Like Valve has only cared about achievement like sanctity of achievements in limited cases on like TF2 where unlocks were tied specifically to you having certain achievements. But yeah, there's like it seems to be very little, if any, governance from Valve on how Steam achievements work, which is a bummer. I think that could be better. Achievements only work when they are
It's an achievement.
legal and proper.
Yes.
Um,
Like Avatar.
yeah. I mean, say what you will
Hey,
about
I
Avatar.
beat those levels.
I mean, you can dig into someone's profile and go like, oh, well, 1,000 of those points are bullshit because they're from Avatar, but they're not illegal points.
Sure.
Though at
They're
some
just
point,
amoral points.
right? Yeah. But the sanctity of achievements were broken for me once I saw how easy it was to like mod your Xbox Live profile and add games you haven't played, and then add all the achievements. And they were really good at banning people that were doing it in a very explicit way, like going from 0 to
Hey
100
Ben, you didn't play all the NHLs
in 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Like all these unlock times are like all the same time. That's not real. But it seems like that stuff became very easy at some point. I don't know how it is these days, if it's still
I wanna
wide
say
open. But
Dan played Fallout 3 on the PC and just like cheated his way to all the achievements, and then loaded up his 360 profile, got all the achievements there as well. 'cause
they
it's
were
synced
separate.
over.
What?
He did. There was some shady business going on.
So you're saying he should be investigated
Yes.
by the
Yeah.
proper authorities.
I did
Dan
that in
Rikers.
Fallout on the PC as well, but that's up to Bethesda. Like if they
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
ruin their achievements by letting you unlock them from the console, like that's all built in the game. You're not hacking; it's just built into the game.
I mean,
So-
have you seen the stuff in Nier?
Right?
You can buy once you do one playthrough of the game, you unlock a shop where you can buy all the achievements.
Yeah.
You just buy all the trophies.
And are they like super expensive and hard to do?
Not
or is it-
really. No. Like
Yeah.
for the amount of money you make, especially in like a second or third playthrough, you're just like, sure.
How do you feel about that? Would you do it?
Oh,
Or have you
totally.
done it?
Because I mean, so the Yokotaro's reasoning was like, I don't want people to burn out on my games
Yeah.
chasing after these imaginary
Yeah.
things. So
Well, that's-
once you've beat the game, you deserve a chance to get them however you want.
Make different achievements then at that point. Don't make it something that you have to grind.
Like, to
Have
be
a
fair,
cool fucking Easter egg or something.
I probably unlocked a good like 60% of them organically. I haven't bought the rest, but like I would probably only buy the couple that seem way outrageous to
Right.
get.
I think that's like a fun, like weird meta thing to
Yeah.
do. Also, that is
It's
just
like a game that also
kinda neat.
puts the CEO of Platinum and
right.
you
Yeah.
know.
And it's terrible, man. I feel like I've broken away from caring about that stuff, but knowing that that's in there was a moment where I was like, I've been playing this on the PC. Should I start over on PS4? And I was like, no, what? I fucking no, dumbass, fucking idiot. What are you, stupid? Jack off. And I look in the mirror and go, stupid shit, fuck. And then everything's okay.
Then you break out the sacks.
Yeah, then I break out the
The
sacks,
long
and
sacks,
then
the flat sacks.
and then I start playing it all over again on the no. That's it for news.
Wow.
I almost had anything else. Yeah, it's a slow time. Like we got this holiday. It's like the 4th falls on a Tuesday, which means Monday then becomes a de facto holiday for everybody.
That's awesome.
So like, and then when you got holidays around weekends, like Friday becomes, people start extending these weekends out as much as they can.
Yep.
Or like, oh, well, I'm going to go on vacation because there's 4 days in the middle with it that won't count against me. So I'll take a few here, a few there. Like, that's how people do it. So yeah.
None of us here do that.
There's just not a lot of people around anywhere to deliver news,
Yeah, that's
to
true.
issue an announcement or leak anything or any of that sort of stuff. So
That being said, you guys have any games on the docket for the break?
I mean, I want to get into some Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
Like it's got its hooks back in me again, where I'm thinking about a lot.
I keep thinking about it a lot too, and then it's like, I don't know. I have commitment issues, I think.
Yeah.
And it's my first time, and
Sure.
I want it to be special.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stuck because I don't have I can only play the game on like the office computer because I
Right.
don't have a good enough one. So I feel like I've had such a weird relationship with that game where it's like if I stay late one day, I'm just like, maybe I'll play a game.
Let's build you a computer this weekend. I got a reasonably.
You know a guy?
I know a guy. I got a reasonably okay like spare video card.
Oh, if you're looking for spare video cards, I've
Yeah.
been cleaning up around my place. I found a GTX 260.
Oh,
Yeah, right?
man, Jesus
I'm
Christ.
gonna pretend like I know if that's good or bad.
The most recent one is the 1080.
Okay, so this is like at
and then
least twice as
yeah. So
bad.
This is, yeah. Before that was the 980, and then the 880, and so on
Okay.
and so forth. So this is
Okay.
a 260.
Do you think a 260 can run Dota?
Probably.
All right.
I don't know. Shit. I should look. I don't even know how old that video card actually is. It was weird pulling it out and going like, fuck,
260.
really?
Yeah, I don't remember that
Yeah.
series.
And I've got some old ass Radeon sitting in a PC. I have 4 PCs in my house that are theoretically complete enough to boot.
I think I do as well, just from like the past like 10 years or something
yeah.
like that. It's
2
like,
that are
I'll need
actually
this at some point.
two-
No, I'll make a big arcade cabinet.
I have like 2 that are in active rotation. Like one's like my media server stuff, and then one is like my gaming machine.
Mhm.
I actually set up a proxy on that media server since it's just on in a closet all the time, because this has been going around a bit for a little while. PlayStation 4 download speeds.
Huh.
Apparently, if you just connect it to a proxy and it's just a fucking PC in your house, your download
What?
speeds will go fucking bananas.
What?
My
I
download
don't
speeds have
understand
have been less bad lately, so maybe they're fixing it within firmware and stuff like that too. So I feel less of a need to do this. But like when I saw that, like people saying like, no, totally, if you just tell it to connect to a proxy
so
and then
weird.
connect it to this PC in your house, like there's a reason why it works. That someone finally broke down and said, here's why this actually works.
Is there
Black Magic.
documented proof of this working?
Like send and receive windows. Yeah, yes. So I did
Wow.
it and was like, oh shit, this is almost like Steam.
Wha-
It was pretty fucking fast. But like I said, lately my download speeds have been better. But that's still running in case I get a slow download. I can just say like, oh, we'll just quickly connect to this proxy and finish this download out and then disconnect from it because it's not going to benefit you for playing online games. It might actually not be great for that.
No.
And yeah.
Weird. Okay. Yeah, I'm totally willing to give that a shot.
Yeah, it's if you're in a hurry to download something, maybe give it a go.
Always.
Your mileage may vary. I don't know. I bought some stuff for PS2. Like I said, I've been messing around with Saturn stuff lately and dicking around with that sort of stuff and realizing like, oh, my drive in my US Saturn is bad. Should I get it in like a SD card replacement thing?
That'd be a
or
fun
something
project.
like that. But those are not currently on sale. But stuff for PS2 is pretty widely available. And I've got a debugged PS2 that I was like, oh, well, maybe I could try hooking this up. And I wonder if that would be neat. So I might just fiddle around with that. And
I love shit like that.
Yeah.
Just like this weekend, I'm going to mod this. I'm going to make this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I've got a large scale project to move a bunch of shit in my garage and take a shelving unit that is in the house and not being used and putting it in that spot so that I can be a little more organized in the garage.
Look at you.
That's my big 4-day weekend plan for America, motherfucker. Gonna fuck this shit up. Gonna stack shit on top of this shelving unit. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, so that's probably what I'm gonna get up to, and maybe like I updated the Division and started playing it again. I was like, oh, this game was fucking cool, and I don't know where that's gonna lead. Probably nowhere good, but
My wife works retail, so she's not going to get any days off. So, in effect, I'm not going to get any days.
I'll probably play some Horizon Zero Dawn.
Cool.
I've got that waiting in the wings.
I got stuck in a story spot where you're fighting a bunch of dudes, and I had stepped away for so long that by the time I got back, I forgot all the controls, but I'm in the middle of a story part, and so I'm just like trying to kind of brute force my way through it, which made me put it down, but I'm determined enough to see the rest of that game to pick it back up and try and break through.
That Zelda DLC just came out.
Yeah, so I'll download that and see my hero's path. I bet it's a lot of walking in circles.
Yeah.
Early on, I did not really understand where to go.
I've seen some pretty good, dumb animated GIFs of people showing their hero's path, doing some real silly ass shit. All right, well, we say we get into some emails.
I love them.
Great. I love emails.
I wish I could marry them.
Good news. This is America. You can marry some emails.
I'm ordained.
Marry yourself?
Marry
Does
these
that
emails
work?
to these other emails?
I just got to fill out this paperwork. over
Okay.
here.
Well, we'll read these emails, and then if you decide there are two that should be joined in some kind of matrimony, then we'll leave that to you. You can send in your emails to bombcast@giantbomb.com, and then they will go into an inbox, and they will be seen by someone, and so on and so forth.
Someone.
I looked in there for the first time the other day.
Yeah. What'd you think?
You guys sent some bad emails.
We do get some, but that's, like bad emails beget bad emails.
Yeah.
When we take bad emails, we generate more bad emails. I tried to pick the good emails, and by the good emails, I mean I just picked a lot of them. Some of these are pretty
Only
bad.
the best for you guys.
Also, I checked the Tumblr at one point. Just one point, we decided it would be a dumb fucking idea to set up a Tumblr.
You invoked the name.
And I mentioned it.
Fuck.
I'll actually just say, don't bother sending anything to the Tumblr, because I checked it for the first time in like 6 months or more, and there was nothing new there.
Not even
So,
spam messages? or
No,
anything?
yeah,
Wow.
no. People have not sent anything to it. So
Well, you blocked me, so I can't
yeah,
send anything to it.
officially writing it off. Don't bother. No one's gonna check it. And let's get into some emails. Here's an anonymous one. He didn't actually say to keep it anonymous, but I thought that would actually be the right thing to do due to the nature of what has been sent in here.
Hello, Giant Bomb. I have killed a man.
Yeah. Hey, Bombcast, I'm an NYC police officer,
Okay.
and I work the 4 to 12 shift in a pretty bad neighborhood in Brooklyn. Only an hour before my shift was over, a job came over the radio of an assault in progress. When reading the details, it said the man with bat fighting man with knife in middle of street.
No.
I immediately looked at my partner and said, "We have to go." Upon arriving to the scene, both parties were already separated by other responding officers. I'll skip the details of why they were fighting and get down to the actual fight. Man with bat had several cuts on his hands and around his shoulders. None too deep, but definitely painful. Man with the knife had no visible wounds, but was walking with a limp and said he got hit with the bat on the shin and in the abdomen area. Both were placed under arrest and taken to the hospital. Conclusion, it was a draw. The knife wasn't a very large knife, but big enough to do real damage, but apparently Batman held him off. This is what happens when an unstoppable bat meets an immovable knife, a complete stalemate. Not as thrilling as I had hoped it would be, but entertaining nonetheless.
I kind of feel like in my heart, that's how I know it goes down. It's just they both like fuck each other up to the point of, because like the argument, the pro knife, the argument I've always heard was like, oh, you're just going to be on so much adrenaline that's not going to matter what happens to you. You're just going to like be able to break through the bat's defensives and stab him to death. But then like at some point the physical damage to your body takes over and
right. But that's the exact same argument I would use to say at some point the physical damage takes over, and if you have been cut a bunch with a knife, you're just bleeding out.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're getting hit a few times with a bat,
especially in your arm or hands or something like that.
Yeah, especially like things you're likely to kind of put up in the way of like
I don't know,
getting
that guy was
head
limping.
that guy was limping, but
Injuries could have been internal.
yes,
knows?
certainly bad things could happen when you get beat with a bat. I mean, let's not be crazy.
He may have died on the way to the hospital.
Yeah.
Well, thank you to those listeners for helping out this experiment.
Yeah, I'm glad that they were able to help us.
Next time I want, you guys to just, record yourselves. Then I feel,
Yeah,
don't do
yeah,
that.
Don't
do
actually.
that. Please don't do that.
This is how.
That was one of them
Look.
jokes.
This
Don't mean
this
it.
goes a bad way. Giant Bomb Fight Club, literally a term we use already for a thing. Cullen writes in and says, on the most recent GFB podcast, this is Team GFB Radio,
Yes.
which is a David Lang production.
Oh, I thought it was a Killer Instinct thing.
No.
I saw a Wrecking Ball that had that in there.
Yeah. I did see Player Unknown referring to the new destructible shacks in Battlegrounds as get fucked boy shacks. And I had to stop for a minute and look at it going, what? Wait, what? Anyway, Team GFB Radio is a podcast. It's a good podcast. It's Dave Lang's birthday today also.
Aw.
Dave Lang expressed a small desire to be done with the Chuckleheads bit you guys close out your E3 coverage with. He expressed feeling pressure to always go off the rails and bring the wackiness. That being said, will you please implore him to keep it going? It is hands down my favorite thing Giant Bomb puts out every year, and this year proved you don't need doxing or fetish terms to make the segment hilarious in every way. Those three guys together riffing is too good to pass up. Yeah, I mean,
it's a nice cap on that whole show.
it's fun. Yeah. Sometimes, like, I feel like we sometimes paint Dave Lang in a very specific way that, like, he's a businessman with years of experience and actually could answer a lot of important questions about game development. So there are definitely times where I think, like, we should get that Lang on the show a little more frequently, and that sort of stuff. I don't know. I remember like 1:30 in the morning with like me, Lang, Pasquale, like Kelly Wallach, some other people, Austin, Patrick, and Adam. I remember Lang looking over, goes, he's just, it's not the best, but definitely not the worst, right? That's a horrible Lang impression. I don't know why I'm even. And I said, yeah, that's about right. Middle of the road. Got it done. Got through it. We're here now, right? And he's like, yeah, okay.
I as someone who has watched all of those from kind of the viewer side up until this year, I really appreciated this last one because you can't just go down that arms race thing.
Oh yeah, no,
of trying
that's
to like.
Yeah, there's
this
no.
one was a lot more laid back and just like fun. It seems like everyone was having fun.
And that's how I kind of went into it this year for sure, was definitely like, there's no, like, yeah, that arms race effect of like, can we get worse / better? Yeah.
Let's put one of them in the hospital.
Yeah, that's where that goes, right? At some point, you're like fucking learning fake wrestling moves and.
I spiked your drink.
Yeah, yeah, all kinds of fucking horrible, fucking actual consequences. Like that's never what it's about. So it was fun to get everybody on and talk.
Yeah, I love this
and do that stuff. So, but yeah, I don't know. Like I don't look at any part of what we do as like sacred and have to do it and all that sort of stuff. So like I'm always thinking like, should we change things up in one way or another for that sort of stuff. So
and in regard to like not asking them, but I don't think we could stop them is the thing. Like they would just want to do it every year anyway. So
you're probably right. Yeah. At the end of the day, I think that thing happens with or without us.
Yep.
So we might as well point cameras at it. Ryan from Illinois writes in and says, with the announcement of original Xbox backwards compatibility, it got me thinking, what kind of work are they going to do to update these games? I remember reading Phil Spencer's Twitter account shortly after the announcement of 360 back compat, saying that he'd like to do original Xbox back compat. Back compat is such a, I hate saying it. It's fun to say. But he'd like to see things like achievements added to the old games. Do you think this could be a possibility? I love the idea of being able to play Crimson Skies again, but without achievements or Xbox Live, I can't imagine spending more than a few minutes with it. Outside of that, what games would you like to see playable on Xbox One? Personally, I like to see KOTOR, Jade Empire, and maybe even Jurassic Park Operation Genesis. I don't know about that.
I think it's totally possible to add achievements like post, right?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Like,
Sony has done it
seems
with
like-
their
yeah,
PS2 games
exactly.
on PS4. Like, you can do a lot more with a game if you're building it with achievement ideas from the ground up.
Oh yeah.
But, you have the ability to look into memory and look into things like the same things you would use if you were trying to cheat in a PC game.
Right.
Like, what number of things has the person collected? Have they visited this level? Have they visited all these levels? Like that sort of stuff you can track.
I would like that stuff for sure.
Yeah, I think whatever work they do to these games to kind of add stuff like that, I think that would be welcome. Even if, as I just finished saying, I am trying not to give a fuck about achievements.
Yeah.
It would be cool.
I mean, as far as improvements or whatever, yeah, I would love to see multiplayer achievements and then some sort of graphical upgrade would be great.
Yeah.
Just high res texture and higher
Right.
resolution, not texture.
So
much,
the
just-
interesting thing we'll run into here is that a lot of these games are 4x3.
Yeah.
So they're not
Just put a cool arcade cabinet
right
around it.
yeah.
Well, no, they already had a method of going widescreen with the original Xbox.
Only some games supported it. There were definitely games
Right.
that wouldn't do it. But yeah,
Yeah.
the original Xbox would support HD resolutions, but not all the games would go 16:9.
But most.
But plenty of them did.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So and I want to say like there are there are plenty of people out there trying to widescreen hack old games into running 16:9 on a PC and stuff like that. So, but at some point that work is probably more than they'd be willing to do for something that is kind of a nice to have feature and not a key thing. I would rather see them focus on making the online stuff work in those games
That'd be crazy.
in one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether they build in like a LAN tunnel option directly,
Oh, sure.
to let you just kind of play those games online or something. But
Excellent Kai, man.
yeah,
That's all we need.
Like I said, I feel like every time I try to use that thing, it is fucking impossible. That was the other thing I was thinking of doing, because apparently people play SOCOM 2
Oh, really?
still via X-Link Kai.
Jeez.
I was like, shit, man, if I could tunnel a PS2 through the internet and build a fake LAN, maybe I could play SOCOM 2 with some people.
I've had to play Monster Hunter that way. And some PSO back in the PSP days.
Yeah. PSP is especially hard because you need like a specific Wi-Fi dongle to get the PSP to connect to it. What a fucking that was the last time I really tried it. Was trying to do that, and it was hard. Dave writes in and says, Nintendo recently tried to assure the public that Switch availability issues weren't due to intentional product scarcity, but merely a byproduct of consumer demand and component supply issues. I'd be willing to believe them if not for, well, the NES and now the SNES Classic Minis. Saying you're going to produce significantly more of the SNES Mini, but only through the end of the calendar year, seems like a weak response to a proven track record of being unable to meet customer demand. Is there any chance we'll ever see Switches and SNES Classics sitting on store shelves for more than 30 seconds?
Switch eventually.
Yeah,
for
of course.
Sure.
Switch is their going concern main console. Like, they'll solve that
like the
problem.
Wii hit a point eventually where it was just available.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know about the NES Classic or the SNES Classic. It depends how much more much more means.
Well, they're announcing this thing as we are going to do it this calendar year, and it's coming out end of September. So do the math. Like, it's not meant to be a long-term item.
Yeah.
They're literally putting this out there to spike interest in Nintendo products around the holiday season. And they know they can sell them all because nostalgia's there, because it's the holidays and people are buying that shit anyway. It's meant to be.
Have they said what month they're launching their online service?
I think it's next year at this point. So,
right.
Yeah.
So if it's early enough, this can be also like a test of what games people are interested in for that online.
Sure.
And it's SNES library, or the NES
maybe,
library and stuff like that.
Their approach with this, I think, is really strange. On some level, I get it. They don't want to have warehouses full of these things sitting around. They don't want to have to sit there and sell another thing that theoretically competes with the two things they have in the marketplace. It really, seeing the NES Classic and the way they approached it, and then them being very upfront about the same approach here, is just like, oh, this is like a super opportunistic thing for them.
Yeah.
Where they know they can sell it. Because you look at it and you're like, man, it'd be great if this came with a code I could use to access all these games on the Switch.
Right.
Just like, here's the downloads for all these emulated games on a Switch when they come to the Switch.
I would be way more interested,
Yeah. But this isn't for Switch owners in a grand sense. This is like, hey, let's get interested in Nintendo products that you loved as a kid. By the way, we still make them. And then a little like, hey, we still make this stuff if you want to you want to jump in. Power is the name of the game.
Mario.
It's in the Mario. That's their slogan, right?
It's in the Mario.
It's in the Mario.
Well, the Mario is in it is kind of their new slogan because of how the new hat stuff works.
Mario's in it.
Mario's in it.
Ask your parents for permission.
It's in the thing.
Yeah. I mean, they're billing this as, hey, we're going to make more of them, but it's still going to be limited. So for me, the only problem I have with any of that is that it just leads to people on eBay making a bunch of money.
I hope they make enough where like a mom can go buy it a couple weeks before Christmas. Just like go down to Best Buy, buy it, and go. Because like
without showing up to like a department store on Tuesday saying, "Hey, you guys get it yet? You guys get it yet? No, the truck's here. Let's wait."
I signed up for 3 different email alerts for that SNES Classic.
Like at some point, this is almost they're treating it almost like shoes. And the way shoes get released, or limited edition shoes get released these days. I like shoes. I'm not a fucking.
You're a foot guy.
I'm a foot man for sure. But I like some fancy sneakers from time to time. But I don't necessarily like get off on the whole like hyper limited edition. Like, I got these and no one else does. Like, that aspect of it is, I think, kind of bad. But like now, like Nike and Adidas and like they just have apps that have notifications that are just like, notify me when these shoes are available. So I checked it out.
Wow.
There was a pair of shoes coming out last week that I was like, oh, well, I guess notify me. It's when, and they're like, these shoes go on sale tomorrow at 7 a.m. I'm like, okay.
Like online or like specific stores?
They have a specific app where you fucking enter all your shit ahead of time, you tell it your size, and then you just have to be there to hit go, and then it says, all right, you're in line, we're processing, and if you get processed while the shoes are still available, you get them. Otherwise, you fucking don't, and they're just out of stock.
Wow.
And it's like this really insane... Like I liked the look of them, so I was like, well, I would like to own these shoes, but I'm not going to jump through a fucking million hoops. This is like what is replaced or is supplemented people waiting in line overnight at fucking shoe stores or Nike Town or whatever the fuck. And so I was taking a shower at 7 a.m. So I got out of the shower at 7:06, and we're like, oh right, that thing. They were all gone.
They were all gone.
Yeah.
6 minutes.
Yeah. And it's just fucking weird that they've built an app to like help with this process of these hyper limited shoes. They had a thing the other week where it was like you had to fucking dig into the app. There was a button you could hit that would activate the camera, and if you pointed it at the menu for a restaurant, an AR version of the shoe would pop out of the menu, and then you would be given the opportunity to buy the shoes.
What?
By the time I heard about that, all those shoes were gone too.
Damn.
What restaurants?
Momofuku.
Not like Chili's.
No, not like Chili's.
The exclusive Chili's
Unfortunately,
Nikes.
not the Chili's Nikes. That I would. Fucking,
Yeah. Fuck yeah. They're red and green.
Yeah, I'm into that.
And they come with a margarita.
And and they're full of skillet queso when you get them. Ugh.
They smell and look a lot better than they actually are.
Yeah.
That's the trick. So Nintendo, if you're listening, don't get any ideas for
right.
apps.
No, but yeah, it's just like Nintendo seems to be like dipping its toe into like that aspect of it in a lot of ways. Yeah.
That's real good.
Thank you. I try to bring it back around by the end of this thing.
It's a good way to tie things up.
That's right. I like to just get laced. What? Yeah, I don't know. Like I get why they don't make 1 billion of them and sell them year round, but at the same time, I just don't want people to hoard them and aftermarket money makers and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
that just sucks. Let's see here. Tom in New Jersey says, I was curious on your thoughts about the length of early access. How long do you guys think the max a game should be in early access? I'm listening to a Bombcast from early 2014 talking about DayZ, and that game is still in early access. How long do you think Battlegrounds will be in early access before release? Is this even an issue? Yeah, do you think there should be like an upper limit on... I mean, I guess like that's impossible to enforce.
Enforce that.
And I mean, the point of early access is it'll be out of early access when the game is ready, right? So you don't want to force games to come out of early access if they're not ready.
Right.
If they're not, but also don't put them in early access if they're not ready.
It seems like there should be a minimum
Yes.
for a game getting into early access, but like who is the judge of that? Who gets to be the arbiter of when a game goes on sale?
I feel like if it goes longer than a year, that's when the kind of public will start to shift, you know? Because if I hear a game has been in early access for a year, why did they go into early access in the first place? Like, what are they waiting for? If a studio is very open about like, here's our process, here's what we're working on, here are features we're working on, here are features we're trying to optimize, then I don't think the time is as relevant.
Right.
But if a thing is just like, hey, we're in early access now, and then they just like leave it out there and don't say anything, that's when it gets
don't
scummy.
update it and all of it.
It's not a good look.
So, but also like there's such a blurry line now, and Battlegrounds actually is the one I've been thinking of lately. There was an interview with the executive producer of Battlegrounds on VG 24/7, and he just straight up says like, oh yeah, I mean we're in early access, we're updating the game, we're making all these patches, we're doing all this stuff, but it's an online game. When we hit 1.0 and come out of early access, we're not going to just stop.
Right.
We'll keep going. We'll keep adding things. So it's like the difference between what a game looks like in early access and out of early access is just that they've hit what they feel is a bare minimum for like saying this is a finished quote unquote
You should
game.
feel good about spending $60 on this or whatever the price is.
30 in that case.
Yeah.
But and with more and more games getting updates and like I think it becomes a minimum thing of like Battlegrounds came out, it's janky. It's still janky. And in some ways, that's beautiful. In other ways, it's like, oh, I took fall damage there when I shouldn't have, and stuff that you're like, well, clearly they're going to address this sort of stuff. So it makes sense as early access, and you'd hope that that's the sort of stuff they would iron out before calling it done. But at some point, it just doesn't matter. I've been thinking about this a lot because we're starting the process of site redesign, and there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes, rebuilding the wiki and how we treat release dates. like, what do we think of as the release date? And I think like I want to have a separate field for entered early access on this date, became out of early access / done on this date, because those end up being important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is when the game was available. This is when the game was really a game.
Yeah, or you know, or whatever it ends up being. So yeah,
Doesn't Steam track like initially that release date is the early access date, and then once it gets released, it gets updated?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know for sure, but I would think that whoever owns that game or whoever runs that game on Steam can change their release date whenever they want.
Yeah.
But I don't know that for sure.
Okay.
Early access is a very weird thing, and like when it's done well, I think it's a great thing because it's getting games into people's hands. Like people are becoming more adept or becoming more well versed in game development in a weird way. And sometimes that leads to people having complaints that are not realistic for the way games are made.
Right.
That's just usually indicative of like a poorly managed early access campaign or something. So I don't know. Like it's interesting.
Or they have poor concepts of what is actually possible.
Right. Yeah. And you have people, you know, like Battlegrounds is the one I've been looking at most lately, and you'd see them kind of saying like, here's the things we're working on right now. And then you just see comments from people going like, why don't you fucking optimize it? Like, why aren't you doing? And they're like, that is also happening. You know, but yeah, it's, you know, everyone gets their own pet feature that they think needs to be in there, and you lead to a lot of stuff like that. Like that's something we should get Mike in here and talk to him about IDARB, because that was a game where, you know, like that underwent so many changes as this kind of weird public development that it kind of I bet saw a lot of opinions probably crossed his desk, crossed his Twitter feed over the course of that game's development.
And a lot of assholes.
Sure. Yeah, probably.
So for me, it's been super, I don't know, like game type dependent, you know, like with Dead Cells, like I don't care that it's in early access right now. It's actually kind of more interesting because, you know, I have kind of experienced all that I can in that game, and then all of a sudden we get new features. And that game lends itself to, you know, starting over really well. But if you,
and there's something to be said for like coming back to a game and finding new shit. It's why patches and DLC and expansion packs are cool.
Yeah,
because you're like, oh man, there's like new stuff here for me to fuck around with. Like if you're getting that on a more regular basis, and sometimes the polish isn't there, and you're willing to accept that, I think that's fine.
If your game is in early access for 3 years, it needs to unpublish itself.
Right.
If that's too long.
Sure. Yeah. And if it launches and it's barely playable and just crashes over and over again, then that's a problem too. Like the expectations are different for that than maybe they were even when Valve rolled it out.
If you get 2,000 negative reviews in a row, then your game is destroyed if it's in early access.
Great.
I mean, if you have a, you know, really poor, like, you know, initial showing in early access, that definitely sours me on the game.
Yeah.
Like, and when it does finally come out, I'm immediately, you know, I'll go back to that time. It's like, oh, that thing? Okay, no.
And there's definitely cases where we've covered a game when it was in early access and then felt less inclined to go back to it when it was out. If the changes don't seem meaningful, if we're just like, oh, that video we did a year and a half ago is actually still fine. Yeah. We probably don't need to touch it. You know, it's definitely, it's all case by case. Let's see. Bart from Toronto. Old Toronto Bart.
Don't have a moose, friend.
Recently, some Bully 2 concept art got out. The concept was apparently from when before GTA 5 was released, so it's clearly some old art. The guy who leaked it said he will post some Agent concept art soon, too. Will Rockstar ever make a game like Bully 2? There are rumors of an LA Noire remaster with an FPS mode, but is Rockstar just too big for those kinds of games now?
I think it depends if Kevin's back, Jack.
Yeah, if Kevin's back, Jack, then Bully 2. That's the if-then statement. No, I don't know. I feel like Rockstar is now so focused on these gigantic fucking games. Yeah. Not that GTA was small back when they were doing Bully and the Warriors and stuff like that, but I feel like the expectations combined with the size of the team required to get games going. Like, I think about the Warriors as like a really awesome moment for Rockstar, where it was like, clearly they fucking were like, you know what's good? The Warriors.
Yep.
What's no one talking about? The Warriors. What if people were talking about the Warriors? And
they went on to make the Warriors.
And they went on and they made the Warriors.
One of Krayshawn's favorite games.
Exactly, yeah. Popular Twitch streamer Krayshawn is favorite. Yeah.
How many teams do they have, Rockstar?
That's a great question. I don't know anymore. They've got the Red Dead team, which is I think still primarily San Diego based. They've got Rockstar North, which is the GTA team. And I think a lot of the other studios. They had a Vancouver team that I think that's who did the Warriors.
Okay.
And
those teams work on like one game specifically. It's not like Vancouver works on like the multiplayer component or something.
I bet these days that is exactly how it goes, but I don't actually know.
Like a new team.
I mean, yeah. But also like, is that the best use of their time, or should they just be focusing on Red Dead and then GTA 6?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what games came out
GTA
between 4 and 5? GTA 4 and 5. Was it Red Dead and that's it?
Max Payne 3 maybe? Did that come out in that window?
I think so.
Yeah.
So then you have to think they did GTA 5, then they're doing Red Dead 2, which is supposed to come out next year, right?
Yeah. So maybe they got room for one more thing.
Maybe, but I doubt it.
I like an LA Noire remaster with a first-person mode. It sounds like total bullshit to me.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know. Dan Records scanned into that game, and I mean, you can run him over in the car in the other game, but to be able to shoot him right in the face.
Yeah, that would
tempting.
be pretty good. Because I think that LA Noire team is gone, so they'd be shopping it to someone else.
We got to find them.
Right. That's the whole LA Noire 2. Doubt.
I'd like to see them work on a new IP.
Yeah,
I mean,
Table Tennis 2. I would like to in some weird way. I think would be really cool for them to make.
They're changing it to everyone's tennis.
Right.
Everyone's
table tennis. Jesper's table tennis. Fuck Jesper edition. Yeah, I really liked Bully a lot.
I did too.
I think Bully's a really great game. I think there's some control issues that make it a little hard to go back to these days. But
I don't know. I think of schools and I think of shit being politically charged. Like maybe that's just like a too hot of a environment for them to like. I don't know.
I think it was then too. Like
really?
that game kind of got. It might have got banned in the UK.
That sounds right.
Or close to it.
Okay.
And yeah, it was very touchy then too, because people were like, it's a game from before it came out, it was like, it's the next game from the people who make Grand Theft Auto, and it's set in a school. Just ominous music as the fucking rest of the hit piece plays out. But Bully is like a really innocent kind of 80s-ish,
coming
romp.
of age.
Yeah, it's it's firecrackers and slingshots and dumb shit like that.
Yeah.
It's but I don't know how you could make a sequel to that. You could tell another story in a similar universe, but they've done it.
Check it out. The Bully kid has grown up to be a real ass criminal, and this is the new GTA.
I mean, I would love to actually see that story, because that's a good weird tie-in. If it was just like he was the playable character in the next GTA. Sure.
Or is in college now.
It's amazing. Like it's really like a testament to the popularity that Rockstar has built up in all of their brands and stuff. That
the fact that you could mention table tennis,
right,
and that sticks out as a Rockstar game.
Yeah, or like that there's someone who is still saying the word agent.
Yeah,
and like, wow, we're gonna get some agent concept art. It's like on with any other developer, you'd be like, who fucking cares? Like, okay, that's
47.
Okay. Like theoretically interesting,
right?
But also, who cares? Like the number of people that still just try to talk about agent is baffling to me. But also, like I said, like amazing for the people at Rockstar. Matt from Pasadena writes in and says, does PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds scratch that Socom itch? Do you think it will play like Socom on a control pad? I've seen a couple of people, and maybe it's just this guy writing in different ways. No. Like,
I've never played Socom.
Socom's a third-person
shooter. I've seen quite a bit of it, and it seemed interesting. But
it's a time and place thing where Socom worked because it was on PlayStation 2, which didn't have a lot of online games. First-person shooters weren't a thing on console at that time in a major way. Halo was happening, but on the PS2 there wasn't really much going on. And Socom was a very fun game, right place, right time. And you look at like the spiritual successor stuff that like was coming out on Steam, or just like these other, like, it's not interesting anymore. I liked those first Socom games, but they stopped making them for a reason. It's just not.
Socom, an acronym?
Yeah, special operated. It's like an actual military thing. Special. Operations Command, maybe.
Oh my.
Yeah. No, Socom it's not the same thing. But that was actually something else from that VG 24/7 interview. Is they said that they were not opposed to having Xbox players, and that game will eventually come to PS4 as well. PS4 just doesn't have a game preview program. And they were theoretically saying, what if we had PC and console players playing together, which seems fucking crazy to me for the way that game controls on PC. And once you throw in people that have auto aim because they're using a gamepad and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that sounds like a great idea, but they're open to it and they'll probably check it out as they go. But that doesn't seem like the type of game that I would want to have that. Like, to me, the whole concept or the excitement of playing that game on a console is everyone having the same basic control scheme.
Yeah.
If you've got someone with a mouse doing, that's a very sniping heavy game.
Mm-hmm.
No, that doesn't seem good. All right, you guys ready to play a fun game?
I love games.
All right, Solomon from PA writes in, and he says, the following is a list of actual GamePro editor names used during the magazine's first 100 issues spanning from 1989 to 1997. Added to the list are a bunch of fake names I made up. Can you tell them apart?
Yes.
All right, I want you each to keep score here if you get one right or wrong, because I don't have the capacity to keep score for you guys.
Okay. I'm gonna do it for both of us because I think Jason's gonna try and cheat.
Okay. All right. Bruised Lee.
True.
Real.
All right. Yes, that is real. Misanthropic.
No.
Real.
Fake. The RP Genius.
Real.
Not real.
Real.
Damn it.
Antarctic.
Not real.
Not real.
Real.
That's not even a game. It's a place.
Yeah. Brother Buzz.
Fake.
Fake.
Real. Game Boy Wonder.
Oof.
Fake.
Real.
Fake. Jason pulls ahead. Are you keeping score down there? I think you're up by one.
Just for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Uggs the Bug.
Real.
Real.
Fuck.
General Johnny Ballgame.
God, I hope it's real. I'm gonna say real just because I want it to be so much.
That's real.
That's real.
Yes.
Yeah. The Mongoose.
Real.
Real.
Totally.
Oh,
Yeah, I was
you
gonna
were in
say
the,
that.
okay. Yeah, you were in the process. I fucked that up. That's on me. The Duke of Deathmatch.
Fake.
You're right. That's fake. Red Shirt Roger.
Real.
Not real.
Fake. Fuck. Frostbite. That's BYTE.
Right.
Fake.
Real.
Fake.
Damn it.
Yeah. Tied up.
Dirtbag.
Real. Real.
Fake.
Real.
Real. Pizza X.
Real.
Not real.
Real.
What? They
Yeah,
did. They didn't
that's
go
not
that
bad.
route. Oh, that's just low.
Sister Sinister.
Real.
Fake.
Real.
What?
Ottermatic.
Fake.
Fake.
Real.
Fuck.
Corporal Cartridge.
Real.
Real.
Fake. Lawrence of Arcadia.
Fake.
Real.
Real. Captain Pachinko.
Fake.
Fake.
Real.
What? I think I lost.
I think I just have to say the opposite of what Jason says
Yeah.
at this point strategically.
Hell L Cool J.
Fake.
Real.
Fake.
No.
Jinky the Monkey.
Real.
Fake.
Real.
I knew that one was real
Damn
just
it.
from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah. The Game Elf.
Real.
Fake.
Real.
Fuck you, the game elf. If you're out there listening, go to hell.
Go to hell.
Go to hell.
Captain Meat Cleaver.
I'm mad. Fake.
Real.
Real.
I waited for you that time.
J Rasta Fighter.
I don't think you want to win this, Jason. I don't think this is a game you want to win.
Yeah, this is
Totally real.
Real.
Yeah. The Betamax boy.
Fake.
Fake.
Real.
Damn it.
Sunday driver.
I'm looking at Ben. Real.
Fake.
Fake.
Damn it.
Leonardo da Video.
Real.
Real. Data Carvey.
Fake.
Real.
Yes!
Team Bomberman.
What? Was this just a guy?
He was his own team?
I don't know, Jason. What do you think?
Nobody else liked it, and he was his own team. Real.
Fake.
Real.
Yeah, that one was too weird to be fake.
Porcupine 396.
Real.
Yeah, totally real.
Real. William Quakespeare.
Yep.
Fake.
Real.
Fake.
Not real. Damn it.
Bacon.
Real.
Yeah, real.
Real. Yeah.
Oh boy.
That's it. Do
Jeez.
we have final scores or do
No,
we lose?
no scary Larrys.
I think he won by 2.
I think, let's see, 3. I think I got 17.
That's more than me.
Okay.
I stopped keeping track when you got 4 in a row more than I did.
I used to read GamePro.
Okay.
When I made my
So you're a
pilgrimage
cheater.
to California when I was like 18, and I'm like, I want to live in San Francisco. I want to do this video game stuff. I barged into GamePro magazine and said that I was a student, and they gave me a tour and stuff. Met Scary Larry and shit. It was cool.
You met Scary Larry?
Yeah.
What year was this?
Oh man, this was, let's see, 95, 96.
Did you meet Bacon?
I don't think I.
Did you meet Kilowatt?
Yes, I think so.
You met Watt.
I think so.
Yeah. Watt eventually ran OPM.
Really?
So he was the West Coast editor before Ziff had moved out here. He was actually the EGM West Coast guy, so he worked out of the GameSpot offices for a while.
But yeah, I was working in a factory. I wasn't going to school, but I told them I was going to
Nice.
school for
Yeah.
journalism, and you just wanted to, just get a view of the office, see what the day's like for these guys.
Yeah.
And they were more than happy to show me around.
Yeah.
That was cool. Life-changing moment. Really.
Well, that was fun. Jeff in Minnesota writes in and says, I have a PS4 and an Xbox hooked up to a fancy 4K TV. I have a PC, but I do most of my gaming on the couch since my TV, as previously stated, is fancy. To that end, no, I don't know if they do a curved fork. I think the curve went out. I don't know if
That's still a thing. I still see it in ads and shit. Like
Yeah, I
right
guess so.
alongside the big OLED TVs. It's like, ooh, this one's curved. And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't fucking care.
To that end, an Xbox One X seems an appealing purchase. My question, do you have a feel for third-party performance on the Xbox One X? With PS4 leading the console race, devs are likely to program for PS4 first, right? To that end, will devs take the time to make games look and run better on the X, or will the raw horsepower provide a boost automatically?
Yeah, I wonder. How is that being implemented? I would think a raw boost, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's a situation where just they will get some benefit just by the virtue of the console being more powerful. But anyone coding specifically for it will probably be able to take better advantage of it. It's just a matter of like, will that time be worthwhile?
Right.
Will enough Xbox One X's be out in the wild for that to be something that is worth it for them to do? Or will they just kind of do what they're doing for the PS4 Pro, and then if they get extra for free, do that? And I don't know. That is a good
Whatever,
question.
man. They just got to go into the ini file and change the resolution size.
Yeah, totally.
It's
just hit
nothing.
save. And
I
just
could do
rebake
that.
it. And
Yeah.
Yeah, that's and like there's definitely like they said as much, but some developers have kind of come out after the fact and said like, yeah, we're gonna do like a checkerboarding technique to hit 4K on the Xbox One X as well.
Right.
So for a lot of the talk about kind of true 4K, native 4K that Microsoft has been pushing, like they're leaving it in the developers' hands. Like they will have games that definitely render natively at 4K, but it's not a mandate, as Phil Spencer said in the interview with him. So if it's up to developers, and if that thing is not like selling enough units to be worth it,
warrant, yeah.
I don't know. But maybe if they're doing a PC version, then that will be most of the work done already.
That's true.
And it'll
could
be
be
easier for them to take advantage of the power on the Xbox One X. I mean, they did kind of say like, oh, it's very easy to get games up and running on this thing.
Right.
But yeah, we are going to have to wait and see. which games take advantage of it in different ways. I think for me, the thing, and you know, like on some level, of course, it's this way.
It's certainly I think it really behooves Microsoft to like support these guys if they do want to come back, whether it be monetarily or whatever, because they don't have a ton of exclusives.
Right.
So they want to make sure that their third-party options look and play, you know, the best.
Yeah. If they want to put out this thing and then talk about how it's the most powerful console, like it needs to be like a fair clip ahead of where the PS4 Pro is at, I think, for that to work for them, like on a messaging tip. So yeah, but like, you know, like I want to say that Luke Smith and Bungie, somebody, like, they got out there and said like Destiny 2 is not going to run at 60 on an X.
Yeah.
But it does run at that on the PC. And maybe there's something there where it's like, oh, we have to keep everybody at the same frame rate because we're a competitive game as well, or, you know, there's probably some limitations there, I guess. But
I'm still thinking about kicking the game elf's ass. Sorry.
Yeah, no, someone has to. Christian writes in and says, "Hey guys, I've heard you mention Phantasy Star Online 2 a handful of times, and I'm wondering what's your thoughts on why we haven't seen it come to North America? I loved the first game. It's a real bummer that it never made it over after Sega said it was."
All right, go ahead, Jason.
Well, it's missed its boat now, I think, officially. Yeah. I'm sure it was just a development issue at the time, and then probably people on that team left to go other places or got shifted around, and it just fell by the wayside, and now it's too late.
My understanding, and some of this is I'm inferring it from like chats I've had with people who would know, who did not necessarily fill in 100% of the gaps, but filled in enough of it and kind of said like, and you can see where this is going. And I go like, oh, okay, yeah. My understanding of the situation was that at some point they really started looking into the numbers of like how much it would cost for them to run it in North America versus how the game is monetizing overseas and how it's likely to monetize here, how many players they would likely get playing it, what's the interest level in it.
Yeah.
And at some point, like, the business just didn't work out. And they were just like, well, if we don't think this is going to make us money, if we don't think this is going to be a profitable operation, you know, translating this game and translating all the patches that they're doing and you know, all the stuff, you know, customer support for all the free-to-play, you know, microtransaction stuff and all that, if they don't feel like that operation is going to run at a profit, why do it? So at some point they just walked away from it. And I wish that we were in a place where companies could get out and say definitively, we're not doing it, because like I want to say that US website for PSO2 still exists in this like totally static form.
Oh, it does. Yeah.
There was that fake Twitter account like
that led me
E3.
back to that site again.
There was just like PSO2 is coming. It's like, no, it's super not.
Oh, my heart skipped a beat.
Yeah,
absolutely. But then they started talking about what the fuck were some of those posts on there? Like there was a vape. There was like a vape rig, PSO branded or something like that, and they were, I don't know.
Yeah. Ben and Ottawa writes in and says, "What's it like playing a VR game as a taller person? I'm 7 feet tall and have been wanting to try VR, but had only just thought it might be incredibly disorienting to suddenly be shorter or have a world that seems more proportionate to my height."
I mean, I haven't messed around with too much VR stuff. Stuff like Polybius is just like you're a ship.
It's so abstract. It's not really.
But you know, I played like TF2 and stuff when the Oculus was originally like going around. Like they had TF2 and kind of a bunch of weird simulators and like roller coaster games and stuff like that. And it's honestly, it's not that disorienting because the whole thing is kind of disorienting in a weird way. I don't know. I never got that weird
real quick.
Yeah.
Also, the thing they do now that it is like a full-fledged, like the TF2 stuff was hacky and weird.
Yeah.
They actually have you as part of the calibration process. Like Oculus says, tell us how tall you are.
Okay.
And I think the Vive just has like, hey, put it on your head and then hit the button, and so we know how tall you are.
Yeah.
And it calibrates the floor accordingly.
Yeah.
And then it sends that information to games, so games can know where to put you and where to put the floor. We ran into a case where that got miscalibrated when we were playing Accounting, which is a VR game, VR thing, and like there was something you were supposed to pick up off the floor, and I couldn't because the real I kept hitting the real floor before I could get to the fake floor. and couldn't actually interact with the thing down there. Yeah, so they kind of the games are theoretically, and there must be an upper limit at some point because if you're 40 feet tall, that would break everything. Right. But yeah, the idea is that it's supposed to be able to take how tall you are into account when rendering the virtual spaces. Okay. All right, we need to kind of dig deep here for Jack in Seattle.
Okay, Jack.
I've been listening to the Bombcast for a long time, but not for the past 2 years. I've been in Japan as a missionary in that time, so I haven't been able to watch movies, play games, or listen to podcasts. I hadn't seen Star Wars 7 until last night. You're one up on me. I still have not seen it. So while I've been a volunteer in Japan, I've missed a lot. I went off the grid, so to speak, right before E3 2015. For reference, The Witcher 3 had just come out, and Jurassic World was about to hit theaters. I got back a week ago. I've missed a lot. So my question to you, what have I missed?
Oh, boy.
It's John Wick.
It's been a wild 2 years.
It's been a fucking really crazy couple of years.
I've had some shit going on. I've been kind of off the grid, too. Like, I haven't played nearly as much as I've wanted to. Haven't seen nearly as much as I've wanted to.
Like,
Maybe
purely
so.
from are we talking games mostly here?
I mean, why don't we limit it to games? Because
Sure.
if we
Okay.
tried to recount the last 2 years, it would.
Do you remember The Apprentice?
No, what is that?
Oh, boy.
Let's see here. So I'm actually just digging, like Wikipedia has a page of just like, here's what happened. So E3 2015 was June. Let's see here. In July 2015, EA formed EA Motive, which is the studio making that Star Wars game. Let's see.
Star Citizen isn't out.
Star Citizen's still not out. Yeah. Oh, all the Konami stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Hideo Kojima is no longer at Konami. Konami is...
Doing pachinko and more Metal Gear.
I was about to say run by the mob, but that seems like an irresponsible thing to say, but also...
I'm sure the mob listens.
Yeah.
You should play Shadow of Mordor, maybe?
Yeah.
That game's cool.
That's a good game. Yeah, why don't I just go to releases here instead of like events that happened in gaming? So let's see here. That's like right around the time Batman Arkham Knight came out.
Oh.
Let's see. Sonic Runners for iOS.
Yep.
What? Oh. Rise of Incarnates came and went
Oh, God.
Oh,
in
man.
that time.
This is like a bad time capsule.
Yeah. Five Nights at Freddy 4
Oh,
came
yeah.
out later that
I
year.
heard that's the best one.
Galaxy Z, that came out.
You stay a sixth night at Freddy's.
Whoa. Oh, they said that they're going to remake Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, yeah.
That still hasn't happened. Kingdom Hearts 3 still does not exist. Toys to Life is kind of dead now.
Oh, yeah. Not everyone's making MOBAs anymore.
Yeah, people kind of learned their lesson on the MOBA stuff. 4K TVs became enough of a thing that console manufacturers decided they needed to release products that could take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
VR.
VR, yeah, virtual. Oh, by the way, virtual reality is a thing.
Kind
Sort
of.
of. Yeah, it's a too expensive thing, and most of the games are not as good as you wish they were. They tried to bring Rock Band back. Didn't work out super well. Let's see. They put out some Call of Duty games.
There's a new Halo.
They rebooted Need for Speed. It was not great.
Uncharted 4.
They tried to bring Tony Hawk back, and it went horribly awry. Saints Row 4 came to Linux. That's just 2015. 2016 here. Let's look here. God. I'm really good at forgetting everything that happens.
I usually just wipe my head clean at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's the way to be. But like honestly, like like so much stuff comes out these days. Street Fighter V came out. It was a bummer. They've continued working on it, but
Not in the way that we really want it to.
It still is kind of a like there was a quote recently from Ono where they said, I think Polygon had it, where they were like,
hey, check out this new trailer for MVCI.
Right.
That was actually released like a month and a
Oh,
half
yeah.
earlier.
But it was like, hey, Ono like is definitely taking inspiration, or Capcom's taking inspiration from the NetherRealm story modes. And then you look at what they've been doing, and you look at the way the
they
MVC,
heard that they had a story mode. It's
Right.
like,
and you look at that and go like, no, you haven't. If you have, you've not been.
You're bad at it.
Yeah.
You're understanding the wrong parts of what make it
add
good.
it to the list of things that you might be bad at. Let's see. The Witness came out. That Jonathan Blow from the maker of Braid. Remember Braid? He made another game. It's good. It's not like Braid.
Yeah, it's cool.
Rocket League.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Rocket League's cool. Check that one out.
that's all you need.
It's cars. It's car soccer.
It's car battle soccer.
Esports became a slightly different but still dubious thing. I don't know. Esports seems like. I feel like 5 years ago it was a lot of like really fucked up sponsorship opportunities and stuff looked desperate and bad. I feel like it's gotten buttoned up along those lines.
Yeah, I think it's overall a little more presentable.
Yeah.
Like, because, you see like the E-League stuff on TV with Street Fighter, and there's a lot of like with like Rick Fox getting big into esports, and like Shaq.
That's a legitimizing force, right?
I mean,
Ex-basketball player invests in
degree,
esports. I guess
like,
maybe it is. I guess maybe it is.
It's better than, GG.bet, this like European esports betting service.
Yeah. Hitman came back and was fucking awesome. Let's see. Tom Clancy's The Division is a pretty good game. Trackmania is still a mess, but a beautiful one. Yeah, VR kind of the thing, and so on and so forth. So there you go. As for the rest of the world, fucking
Don't look into that.
Yeah.
There's some good TV. Check out that stuff instead.
But no one watches TV on TV anymore.
Oh yeah, don't get TV, but get the new TV.
Yeah. Fucking. Oh God, have you seen ads for YouTube's live TV service where it's like streaming TV for us?
Yes.
It's like this weirdly.
Oh yeah.
Like, are they trying to say like for millennial? I mean, it's like
for the YouTubers.
Yeah.
Or it's for the kids who like YouTubers.
Kids. Yeah. Like no, it's still fucking TV.
Yeah,
TV
it's just
still
TV.
sucks. I don't care where you watch it. PlayStation View is still whatever. Anyway. Also, as for the rest of the world, fucking
find a rock to get under.
yeah.
Or something.
Build a bunker. Maybe get some food. Joe in Cincinnati writes in and says, I heard Brad mention taking the PlayStation VR home, and it got me thinking, what do you guys have to lug that thing around safely? I've been looking for a good case for it for some time and wondered what we use.
You got a nice duffel bag.
I throw it in my backpack or duffel bag. Like, we don't have anything.
Yeah, nothing special.
Yeah. They do make like way too expensive custom cases.
Like Pelican style cases.
Yeah, VR, but
Just
we
wear
got
it home.
a listener that works in like a manufacturing, those types of custom cases and stuff, and he sent us one for the Nintendo Switch. It is this big orange, ridiculous fucking case for the Nintendo Switch.
That's
but
great.
it's all like, custom slots cut out in the styrofoam and stuff.
That's cool.
It's neat.
Leon writes in and says, Kane and Lynch 2 is a free Games with Gold title for the month of July.
Oh, cool.
For the Xbox there. It got me wondering about Jeff's opinion on the sequel. Does it have any of the problems of the original? It is free, in quotes. Are there subtle digs or references in that game about you? No, that's not.
Just Hitman.
So, I reviewed Kane and Lynch 2, and it had some bugs at launch, which was like a really frustrating thing. Because it led to this, I actually ended up reporting bugs to them as like, hey, the game seizes up when you, so it seems like there's a bug in the 360 version of that game where if you played it a ton, it had achievements for like kill 100 people with a shotgun or whatever it was.
Sure.
And it seemed like every time, like after a certain number of hours playing the game or a certain number of kills or whatever, the process of checking if you had unlocked that achievement or not took a lot of time. So you would get a headshot with a shotgun and the game would seize up for like a second.
Just to see if you that was the one that would give you the achievement.
Right. Or that I think that's what it ended up being, if I remember correctly. But it was like one of those situations. Sometimes you mention bugs to developers when you're reviewing a game. It doesn't come up that often, but and they'll just be like, oh yeah, or they won't say anything, or they'll say like, oh, we have a patch in the works. And then sometimes you will get notes back saying like, wait, what? Can you hang on? Can you? And I literally sent them video of that, because otherwise I would have written a review saying this bug exists, and like no other review probably would have mentioned it, because you have to play a lot of that fucking game for it to start happening. And I was just like, great, this is how this all happens all over again.
You think it's worth playing for free?
Yeah, totally. That game has an amazing visual style to it. Yeah. It's meant to be shot. It looks like something that is like shot on like a bad video camera or cell phone or something like that. Like, it has this.
What, maybe it was in the quick look, but seeing some of it and it looked really cool.
Like the whole thing has like all these MPEG compression artifacts on it, which probably looks weird in a quick look because you're watching a video of it that would have that stuff. It's a really neat looking game. I think they did better with the writing and stuff like that. And also, as for the like digs or references, like a month after I reviewed that first game and got fired and all that stuff, like I ran into people who worked on that game at GDC, and they were like, yeah, it was not a very good, like they know it's not. Yeah. No one was like, these people are professionals. It's not like some thing where they're like, oh, we got to get back, and like that's very few and far between.
Except Kane and Lynch, they're after you.
Right, yeah, as Jamie Foxx and Bruce Willis, stars of Kane and Lynch, the movie, coming any day now.
That's weird.
Yeah, no, that game is neat, and it is not perfect. It's kind of, maybe a little repetitive, but
sure.
Like they made a much more interesting game with that than they did with the first one. So yeah, I would check it out. Ben in Ohio says, with PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds now an astounding 4 million copies on PC alone and going strong, it has surely caught the eye of AAA publishers and game devs alike. Not to mention H1Z1's similar game, which has also sold well. Who could you see making a push to quickly make a competing AAA product?
Rabbids X PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Rabbids Battlegrounds, starring PlayerUnknown.
They parachute out and they go,
yeah.
On the way down, you find like plungers and stuff and bananas on the ground and use those.
I would actually like to see someone make something that is a lot closer to Battle Royale, like the movie.
Yeah. That's
in terms of the rules of everyone starts with a weapon and that sort of stuff. And I think that would be really cool.
I think you could do a cool like single player experience to a degree of like,
yeah, sure,
like forming temporary alliances and like there's so much you could do with that, like King of the Hill style game.
Right. And that's something that like the forming of squads on the fly and stuff like that, like that is the Kane and Lynch multiplayer.
Oh yeah.
Like that whole thing is based around, what is it, the Uneasy Alliance? I forget, it's something alliance. Where like you are all on the same side until someone turns, and then that person's a traitor, and then, you know, like, then shit goes bad.
Right.
Like, that feeling of, like, we're going to squad up, but at some point, there can only be one.
There can only be one, yeah.
I think that's, yeah, I think that stuff would be cool to see. And maybe this has been done in some of the, you know, I haven't played enough King of the Kill to really know if any of the other games that are trying to do this rule set really tap into that feel or tap into that aspect of it. So maybe they've tried it and realized, hey, this doesn't work, and here's why. But I feel like squad mode should end with you have to murder each other.
Yeah.
Like there should definitely be you're the
There's
only
just like
squad left.
A 10-second countdown of like
yeah,
go get your spot, pick your spot.
Yeah. Or just, hey, you're a squad and you can revive each other, but also there can only be one.
Yeah.
So you could kill the rest of your squad right out of the gate if you wanted to, but that might be dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That I would like to see that stuff. But as far as like big developers getting into this stuff, like
Treyarch.
Yeah. I feel like Call of Duty will try something like this. I feel like they're in a position right now where like their game is still popular enough to matter, but they're kind of struggling with finding a new hook.
Yeah.
And I could see this being something that looks very attractive to them right now. For sure. And I could see Like I said, that Division mode has like hints of this type of survival gameplay in it, but it's not enough players. It's like it's focused on being in the cold and surviving the cold just as much as it is about straight up murder. So it's really not the same thing. But I could see the Division. Someone actually, someone wrote to me and said, like, what about like a GTA? What about like or like an urban setting, like a more of a city setting with vehicles and all the stuff that entails? I think that could be kind of cool. Let's see here. Daniel writes in and says, when you say on a podcast it's time to take a break and a commercial plays, do you actually take a break or do you wait until the commercial ends? How long are these breaks? What do you usually do while on break? I picture Jason runs to the washroom. Brad sits back with his phone browsing Reddit. No. And Jeff whips out a fidget spinner. Set the record straight for me. No, I mean, if you were a premium subscriber, you could watch the podcast be recorded live.
It's a good point.
And you would know exactly how long those breaks take. It's a varying length.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
I usually have to have tinkle time.
Yeah, sometimes there's some bathroom action. Sometimes I will literally pull out my phone and look at stuff.
Today, Jason taught me how to fade out an ad.
Yeah,
because he ran to the bathroom.
Yeah,
so,
because sometimes
there's learning involved.
There you go.
Always learning. Alex says Valve just changed the expiration of the International Battle Pass from September 1st to August 20th. This means people who paid for a Battle Pass will get 2 less weeks to gain levels and unlock loot.
Shit.
This is a gross thing to do, right? Do you think Valve should be allowed to do things like this? What if other companies started cutting already paid for subscriptions or other time-based events short? They fixed this, right?
So yeah, basically what happened was there was a countdown on a website and your actual battle pass in game, and they had different dates, and they issued a patch to change the one in the game to match the one on the countdown, which is 2 weeks earlier. But this morning, as of like a couple hours before this podcast, they said, hey, we realized that was shitty. We should have changed the website to extend it to 2 weeks rather than do it the other way. So we're flipping it back and reversing it, which, that would have been pretty shitty to, you have to spend money on the battle pass. You have to buy it.
And some of these, I mean, the beef here is that some of these items are only usable during the international, right?
Yes.
That's crazy.
And the chance to unlock the items are only, they're even the ones that will persist. You can only unlock them during the battle pass international season.
Right.
But yeah, that stuff's all coming together. They just, as of like 5 a.m. this morning, qualified the last team for the international. So we're gearing up for TI7.
Are you all in on Planet Dog?
I'm very happy and excited to announce that I am all in on Planet Dog, the new Dota 2 team sweeping the nation. They're European. They're most of the players were in the team joined Dota, and it kind of upset everyone. They upset quite a few teams to make it in as the second qualifying EU team.
So are they not backed by a major sponsor or anything like that?
I assume or
is Planet Dog the name of like an exercise chain that we just don't know about, like in Estonia or something?
From what I've gathered, they probably have a lot of smaller sponsors that they are partnered with, but not necessarily a large organization like EG or whatever who is housing them under this. I don't think there is a Planet Dog CS:GO team, for example.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna get those. That means they're gonna launch those player cards soon, and I can finally get my gold Arteezy.
What about will there be Planet Dog cards?
Oh yeah.
All right, great. Okay, because I think I have some cards coming my way too.
Oh yeah, I'll help you walk through there. I'll tell you who you got.
Yeah, I actually do want your help to make all the predictions.
Great.
Because I have no fucking idea what.
We'll sit down. You, me, and Brad will sit down one day.
And just lock in our predictions. We probably have to do that next week. I think they have to be in soon.
Okay.
Let's see here. Here's an anonymous email. The first part does not need to be anonymous, but as a result of the second part, it is. What's the idea behind reissuing Skyrim with retail box price points? Is this simply a cash grab, a team that's too small to produce DLC, or have they just run out of ideas? I sincerely hope it's not the future of gaming. Although I enjoy older games being ported to new platforms, it feels like Skyrim has been re-released more times than it has been years since its original release. I mean, it's a popular game, that they keep bringing. Minecraft.
Lots of people like
Minecraft
Skyrim.
goes to everything too.
Yeah.
Like Skyrim is very popular, and
It's a big game with a lot to do.
yeah. And they probably protect their price points by putting it back out in like a Game of the Year format and stuff like that. That's why most Game of the Year boxes happen, even though most of those games don't really win a lot of Game of the Year awards. It's like, hey, we're going to pack it in with the DLC so we can have a thing on shelves that is still $60 because that makes us money.
And then they put Link in it.
Yeah, I do think it is ridiculous the number of times Skyrim got re-announced at E3 this year. But also it is a very popular game, so I can't fault them for it, especially if that team is going to be off working on something else for a long time.
I don't think they'd be re-releasing it at the pace that they do if it wasn't like if they didn't project that it was going to do well.
Yeah, and also I don't think it's indicative that like the team that made that game is doing that work. Like they're probably shuttling that off to an external team that is doing the work while they are hard at work on the next thing.
Right.
Okay, here's the rest of it. P.S. Last week's show, you talked about focus testing. I've done this for EA for several years now. I tested Mass Effect Andromeda in November and may still be currently under NDA. Not sure how it works once the game is out. But thought you should know that Brad's review made me laugh. A lot of the problems he alluded to, including short, forgettable missions that feel like they were never all the way finished, he absolutely nailed. Being only a few months from launch, the build I saw in the week-long testing session was alarmingly incomplete. With some experience seeing these games in unfinished states with an unannounced launch, I assumed they would target holiday 2017. Boy, was I shocked. I played through the entire main storyline and most of the side quests. There's much more details to go on about. If you'd like to know, shoot me a message. Yeah, I feel like the details on this one are pretty plain these days, but yeah. We also, it's maybe a little too long to include here at this point, but someone on Twitter, Wes Phillips from Epic, pointed me this way, but someone heard us talking about the focus testing stuff last week and really went in depth on what that stuff is, and I assume that they probably get pretty frustrated with the way people talk about focus testing as being like focus testing the life out of something, whereas like research and user experience testing is actually, there is certainly value to that.
That's like early access, right? Like,
yeah, I guess so. It's what you do with the data that matters, not that you're collecting the data, I suppose.
That's the point. Collecting data is never a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's how you implement these changes, what you do,
Maybe I'll throw a link to that Twitter thread in the podcast notes field or something like that if people want to check it out. Aaron writes in and says, so it's pretty obvious from the complete lack of coverage at recent Sony press events that the Vita is more or less a dead platform.
They didn't say it.
Yeah.
They didn't say it.
Yeah, that's right.
They didn't say it once. They didn't say the word Vita once during the PlayStation press conference.
But I feel like during the event itself, they didn't say a lot of words, period.
Yeah.
So at some point, maybe we should, next year we'll
speaks for itself.
Yeah, next year we'll take the pre-show into account, I guess, because at least there would have been Undertale.
Vita has no mouth, but it must scream.
Yeah. Why did the Vita and its predecessor, the PSP, never capture the handheld market in a way that it seemed poised to? Did the games that came out for these platforms fail to meet expectations that came with the superior hardware when compared to what Nintendo put out with the DS and 3DS? I remember the discussion a few years ago seemed to center around that people just didn't want to play neutered console ports on the PSP, but rather needed games designed for portable.
There was no Pokemon.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, the PSP had Monster Hunter, so it did fine in Japan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the thing that was the most appealing original concept behind the PSP ended up being its downfall, and then the Vita doubled down on that, which the first time I saw Darkstalkers running on the PSP, I was like, holy fucking shit, this looks great, the screen's incredible.
Yeah.
And then you were like, oh, the battery life actually really sucks, and oh, this is like not a great, like, wait, if I'm going to play Darkstalkers, I want to play it against a person and not against someone who has to bring their PSP so we can do it. And like at some point, it is exactly that. It was the Vita and the PSP got a lot of games that you would look at and go, man, if this was on a console, it would be way better, because it didn't offer anything unique other than, I guess, the touch screen and the back touch on the Vita.
Yeah.
But whereas the DS and 3DS, you could make games built from the ground up to take advantage of those sorts of
tailored
features.
for that sort of experience.
So
just the nature of the DS being able to like flip it open, play a little bit of Pokemon, play a little bit of Advance Wars, whatever, Castlevania, and then just flip it shut. slide back in your pocket.
And they leaned on 2D in those games a lot, whereas the power of the Sony handhelds led to people making a lot of polygonal games that
those God of War games.
Yeah, that you would then take and compare to console games, which is not necessarily a fair comparison, but they were making watered down versions of games that were effectively console games.
Yeah.
And then, with the Vita, you got like Naughty Dog making a side Uncharted adventure that's like not very good, and like out of the gate they're not putting their A teams on the platform because they're making console games, whereas Nintendo sold stuff well enough on the handheld market to where most of their A teams were making like Pokemon stuff like that came over, but like they were making big meaningful games for their handheld platforms. And I think it's interesting with the Switch that they've seemed to have cracked the nut in a weird way, where they have made a device that makes good on the stuff you felt about the Vita and PSP simply by including a dock, simply by acknowledging. I mean, they even refer to it as a console that happens to be able to be played handheld.
Right.
And so by virtue of including all that stuff in the box and you can play it any way you want, they sidestep a lot of that stuff. Also, it is their most powerful device. So you're not going to look at the Switch and then go, oh man, this looks like a watered down version of a game that should be on Nintendo's real platform.
Yeah.
Whereas Sony always had the PS3 and the PS4 for comparison points for those other platforms. And so I think, over time it was just like the realization of just like, I don't want these style of games on a handheld only device. And by the time they added TV out and some of the other stuff to the PSP and the Vita TV and stuff like that, like people were done.
Yeah.
I definitely got some mileage out of that, but it was like too little too late at that point.
Like you said, all the best stuff about the 3DS was it was like ground up developed for a mobile experience
and Nintendo also like doesn't have to, they don't visibly care about major third party support.
Right.
So, in cases of like the PSP, it was like, here's Madden for the PSP. And you just look at it and go like, this is like a shitty version of Madden. Like this isn't where those comparisons didn't always exist on the Nintendo platforms. Or if they did, they looked so different that you weren't really playing 3DS Madden and expecting it to look like a console game.
Which was, disappointing because like the handheld software itself is pretty sexy. Like the screens were really good looking. They were really nice
like
hardware.
The PSP is really
but
cool.
they were striving so hard trying to hit that.
UMD discs were cool.
In a weird way, kind of.
I liked how they looked.
Yeah, I'm a mini disc owner. I like discs that come in weird cartridges. Let's see. Let's get through a couple more here.
I love my Vita.
I like the Vita, but I have connected with very few games on it.
Yeah.
Because I play games on
it ended
all
up
platforms.
turning into like a niche market.
Yeah.
There's lots of good, like Japanese RPGs and stuff that are available.
Yeah, and like the indie stuff that came to Vita typically also came to PC and sometimes would run better on the PC. So it was just cases of just like, well, I don't value the handheld experience enough to.
There's some good
do
cross-play stuff as well. So I mean, there was mileage varied for sure.
Yeah.
But
let's see here. Roger in Las Vegas says, I remember all sorts of fatality rumors that started to circulate after the release of Mortal Kombat 2 and 3. As a young teen, one of the most popular ones I had heard of but never seen was a nudality.
Yep. You guys ever see those? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I know a guy.
Yeah.
Who knows how to do them. He won't tell me how.
I got a notebook full of those. Like the inputs. Yeah.
His name is Ed Boon. He knows exactly how to do the nudalities. As you can imagine, instead of giving your opponent a bloody end or a tiny doll version of yourself, you would get them naked. I chalked this rumor to being fake after nearly every secret in the games had come out, but I just came across some video of a canceled game called Tattoo Assassins.
Oh.
Wouldn't you know it, there's totally a finishing move where you remove the other player's clothes. Could talk of this game be where those crazy finishing move rumors came from? Do you have any memories of rumors like this that had some truth to them? So this is
a truth to them?
This actually happened the other way around, where people talked about nudalities, and then the developers of Tattoo Assassins said, we should totally do that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's how we're going to be better than Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
And it worked.
Tattoo Assassins,
Tattoo
huge.
Assassins
They made all those movies.
Tattoo Assassins versus DC.
Yeah.
Dedicated fart button for some.
Do you have any memories of rumors like this that eventually had some truth?
I can't think of any. I mean,
Yeah.
what are some of the big ones? The Lara Croft.
Lara Croft nude stuff, which that ended up just people modded that into the game.
Yeah.
Which, let me tell you, pretty hot.
I'm sure. Chris. I struggle to think of any other.
I mean the big rumor that was taking our school by storm was that you could catch. Well, everyone called it Blue Pikachu, but it was Meryl, because that was one of the earliest Gen 2 Pokemon they had showed off at that point. And all the Mew rumors, I guess, like you can use strength on the truck, on your way to the SSN. There was one that
someone I want to say someone modded that into the game.
Yeah, there's
which is like a fun dumb thing.
Yeah, like it was mostly Pokemon rumors, honestly, with my age range and
right. What about the missing number?
Yeah,
one,
missing number was a huge
Pokemon
thing, and then eventually they did a Nintendo Power or some official thing came out of like how to actually do it, and then everyone started doing it. I definitely lost a save file because I did it. I fucked it up. There was like a very easy way to just corrupt everything if you did it.
All right. Well. Let's see here. Giovanni in Germany writes in. It says, last week I noticed that the mini SNES includes what they call Final Fantasy 3, but is actually just Final Fantasy 6.
Yep.
This made me realize over the last few years we've seen a lot of regional differences in naming be unified. Namco Bandai became Bandai Namco. Resident Evil 7 did its weird double naming thing, and now Hot Shots has become everybody's golf. Does this change reflect a larger globalization in the gaming landscape? What weird naming differences would you like to see finally disappear? Personally, I'd finally like to see Capcom call a new Street Fighter Alpha Zero consistently worldwide.
I think they should call Mr. Hercule Mr. Satan.
Mr. Satan. That's definitely, they need to rectify that and bring that home.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm trying to think like what other, I mean, the Final Fantasy numbering got solved with the release of 7 because they called that 7 everywhere.
Yep.
And
so yeah, I guess the question is it 3 or is it 6 actually that they're bringing over?
It's
here?
6.
It's 6.
It's
Yeah,
SNES 3.
Yeah, because
But the SNES version of 3, because there were differences.
There were differences. I assume that they are just going to bring the original U.S. release of 3, which is 6, over.
Okay.
Instead of like a retranslation or any of that sort of stuff. But yeah, I would really like to see them name the Street Fighter bosses properly.
Oh, like Claw Dictator and
like get rid of
Boxer?
all that shit.
Just get rid of all the names.
Yeah, and just call them.
Call them what they are.
I would be willing to accept a world where we just refer to the final boss of Street Fighter 2 as Vega.
Nope.
No,
it's never gonna happen.
No way.
There's movies.
I'd rather take.
Okay, what if we went the other way and use the U.S. names?
Make them adopt.
Make Japan change. There's something about like I understand the value of it, but every time I hear someone seriously referring to Dictator or Claw,
I mean, the only time I
just fucking roll my eyes. It's like, oh, fucking whatever, man.
The only time I really see it is in like Street Fighter 2 commentary.
Yeah.
Like when they're commentating like Super Turbo or something.
Yeah. When people say it out loud, when it's written, it doesn't.
But think about like the Bison dollars and stuff.
You're right. There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we would lose. You could just call them Vega Bucks.
That's not bad.
No.
But for me, it was Tuesday, like the day that Vega came to your town.
Yeah, that's a little. Spilling a drink over here. Yes,
you were off camera.
We would lose. We would lose a lot.
Yeah. I can't think of many because I mean I feel like the reason is because we're in the age of information and everyone's just like, oh, do you mean it's actually this? Because everyone knows what both of them are.
Yeah.
So they're like, why not make it easy and just have one?
Yeah. That's why that happens. But it definitely doesn't happen as much anymore. You know, a lot of that stuff just comes over intact. Like Resident Evil 7. Like I would be okay if they said, hey, we're going to call this Biohazard now, even though I think that's a canonically worse name.
I like that.
Like I'd live with it. Okay, last question here. Christopher in North Carolina writes in and says, what's the likelihood that I will have the opportunity to play the following games within the relative future? And I'll go down these one at a time. Overlord 3. weigh in on this. What do
I
you?
don't know.
Yeah,
Overlord.
Overlord 3 is maybe the weirdest one. I want to say that they kickstarted that.
Did they?
A third Overlord. I feel like that was going to happen.
I just never felt like those games took off.
I'll say low.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overlord Fellowship of Evil. Maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe I'm just wrong on that. Or maybe they've teased it or something. A Bloodborne sequel. How likely you think that is? Sequel / follow-up.
What's my
moderate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel moderate about that.
Relative future here. Let's say 5 years.
Yeah,
That's
moderate.
the relative
moderate.
future. All right.
Yeah, not near future. They've got new IP cooking up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so after that. Maybe.
Not off the table, but
Right.
Yeah.
but not
The
definitely.
game had some neat systems and stuff.
Definitely not definite.
Yeah.
Battlegrounds on PS4. Definitely.
High.
That is.
Yeah.
They've already said that that's going to happen. That Final Fantasy VII remake.
That will come out with the first part of that will come out within 5 years.
Okay.
I
high chance of
I'm
that.
here
Yeah.
on record.
I could maybe sign up for that. A current gen Sacred.
Very low chance.
Very low.
Very
chance of
low.
that. A Star Wars fighting game.
God. Oh. Is it my heart talking? Or is it
I mean,
my
Disney
brain
signed
talking?
off on Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Right.
So
They gotta get out of that versus bucks.
So
Star Wars versus Star Gladiator
Oh shit.
Star Wars versus Guardians of the Galaxy.
versus Star Gladiator versus Cyberbots.
I mean,
I'm gonna say low, but
Yeah.
not impossible.
Not impossible, but EA is gonna have the rights to do Star Wars games for a significant chunk of time, and they're not a fighting game publisher. So
Put what's his name? What's the guy's name? That's not Han.
Chewie.
Luke,
No, the new guy
C-3PO,
The
that
new
everyone
guy?
loves. He's like real suave. Oh my
John
god.
Boyega.
No, his friend.
Fucking, I have no idea, dude.
I'm a Boyega
Come on.
guy.
Come
I don't
on.
know. I don't
No.
know.
Poe, not Poe. That's him.
That's his
The
character
pilot.
name.
The
Yeah.
pilot. The other pilot.
I don't know his
the
name,
main-
Ben.
Damn it. What's
Star
his
Wars.
name?
Star
What's his name?
I don't know.
What's his name?
Pilot.
Poe, Cameron Poe.
No.
Put him in the new MMA game.
Poe Dameron. Rebel pilot. Oh, let's see. New Star Wars pilot.
I'm trying to remember
New Star
that.
Wars pilot.
The
That's
actor's
his name.
God. It's not Bronson Pinchot.
Poe.
Oh, but what if it was
It's Poe Dameron.
No, the actor.
the actor that plays Poe Dameron?
Yes.
Okay, that I can search.
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac. Oh my God.
Okay.
My brain hurts.
We good here?
We've been in this room for 8 hours.
I feel there's like smoke pouring off of you right now. A few more games here. A New Heavenly Sword.
Zero.
Not going to happen. Eternal Darkness sequel.
Low.
No.
No.
I'm going to go one step further and say no. A Brutal Legend sequel.
Definitely possible.
I mean, they're doing a Psychonaut sequel.
Yeah, but...
I
And then
think
they just
Tim's-
did that talk together, right?
I think
They-
Schaefer's actually said recently that.
And he said, or another Jack Black game, which
Okay.
Jack Black does a voice in Psychonauts too, I think. Isn't he? He's doing a
Huh?
voice in another Tim Schafer game.
Oh, I don't
Does
know.
he go, Wah!
Yeah, he does.
Ugh.
He absolutely does. It's basically, it's all just clips from School of Rock.
School of Rock's a great movie.
It's not bad.
I like it. I think another Jack Black game, yes. A Brutal Legend sequel, probably never. Because I just,
Very low.
like, EA owns it. They, I imagine, don't feel great about how that all went sales-wise, if I had to guess.
No, super high chance.
Double Fine is not, Double Fine is probably not in the business of doing a thing with EA. Yeah, anyway. Jade Empire sequel, that's the last one.
That would be
No.
kind of cool, but yeah, I don't see. Well,
I think the one person I know of
Low.
who would have been a really big champion for a Jade Empire sequel is no longer there.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to say no.
that's what my heart's telling me.
Yeah. And besides, if we're just talking about the next 5 years, that'll be Anthem and Anthem support out of BioWare probably. So, yeah. All right. That's going to do it for all these emails. If you want to send an email, it's bombcast@giantbomb.com.
Big bomb at giantguy.ben.
That's not a real email. Do not send your emails there. Do not click
Why
on
not?
any links you get from that email address.
benbomb@giantbig.net.
Damn it. That's not. Now we have to go register that. That's how this works. That's the law.
Mhm.
Legally, we have to do that. That's going to do it for us. I hope everyone has a good holiday.
Keep it safe.
Keep it safe.
Fun.
Keep it sane.
But have fun.
But have fun. But not too much fun.
You got work tomorrow.
Yeah. Or if you live in some other part of the world, I hope you have a grand Tuesday.
Yeah. Get a burger.
Enjoy that Tuesday.
Yeah. Get a burger.
Do something
or-
American. Get a burger.
Respect us and celebrate us.
Get a burger or a durger and just go to town.
This is a good ass country. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. We'll be back next week with a proper live Giant Bombcast. See you then.